Hi everyone, welcome to How to Trade, FKA, formerly known as the Midday Show. I am Adara, this here is Obi. We are pleased to be with you guys here to ring in I almost said Monday, Tuesday. I'm gonna read the names off here to do this roll call. Bears versus Bulls here, shout out to you. Great, fantastic moderator, thank you so much for all you do. Kyle Burdett saying everyone have a great day. Hope you have a great day, big Kyle Burdett. Darwin, Jason Walcott, Alex Enzo, Easy Trader, Six Toe V, Draco, Daryl Flinch, The Boring Man, Andrew Chow, Soul Queen, Max, Suede, Fiddleback, people coming in here. Chucky saying, Adara, yeah, hi, great to see you guys. Brad Gober, Michael Kern, 1320 Wolf, Derek B, Day Trader Cut, so many people rolling in here. DJ Marshall, Caputi Electronic Music here on a Tuesday morning. How are you this fine Tuesday morning? Obi, how was your weekend?
I'm good, I'm doing well. Weekend was all right, just kind of just rest and relaxation for the most part. But yeah, nothing too crazy. How about you?
It was okay, it happened, and now it's not happening. A little bit of, stuff getting done, probably too much sleeping, but we're here, we're alive, and we are ready to take on these markets and also give you guys a lesson. Same program as always. Shout out to Sharif. Happy birthday to him as well. That happened over the weekend, so I hope he is doing well, and hopefully, that was an excellent birthday and weekend for him.
I like it.
Right
off the bat.
Pardon?
I said right off the bat.
Oh yeah, always. What have you been trading so far this morning?
This morning I have been dabbling in a little bit of Apple. Apple was pretty decent. I know Sean was involved as well this morning. Go down to the 1 minute here. A little bit of a long off of the open. Can't really get through that 93. So peace out there. Comes right back in. Took a little bit of a short as well, back to the downside off of the 92. But it was consolidating a little too much for me. A little strong bid that kind of came in and around here. So just covered for that one. Nothing too crazy. Just with Apple, again, they had that catalyst this morning with the China iPhone sales kind of popping back up. We know that when they dropped the sales a couple months ago, a few weeks ago, that was kind of one of the reasons that Apple fell distinctly. And we got a really strong move in the morning. I had like 10 different alerts on Apple that popped up. This morning, I'm like, right after I woke up, I was like, what's going on here, Apple? Slow down, slow down. I'm not even in yet. But we took some pieces off there, but nothing too crazy. Waiting for the next trade.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Apple did not want to wait for you. It was like time to go. Yeah. Long weekend's over. But yeah, just a nice look there. I have nothing I've traded. Honestly, a little bit still in, I don't want to say vacation mode, maybe sleep mode, but we're going to try to wake that up. I still like PDD. I've been obsessed with this one as of late. I think that 150 area kind of spicy. I liked 150.25. Should have just done that, because then of course now it drops like 25 pennies. One thing I'm kind of working on, and I say kind of because I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it, is holding positions for longer. I do find I tend to paper hands when I do that, which is why I am not super enthusiastic about doing so, but I think it has helped to just have these positions longer, or at the very least have wider goals than 2 pennies, you know what I mean? So especially if I'm gonna trade $100 plus names, that's kind of what I'm working towards. We'll have to see how that goes, how that comes to fruition. But yeah, in terms of housekeeping as well, we do have, I believe, some auctions later today. I'm gonna pull that up. I know we also have Fed's Cook coming in, piping hot there at 1:05 p.m. We had the Kashkari show all this morning, so lots of interesting, mostly hawkish sound bites coming out of there. Let me see what we have on the docket as we head into this here afternoon. Okay, I know we have, what auction do we have here? We do have the 5-year note auction coming in at 1. So we're going to stay tuned for that. We will keep you guys posted with that info. Yeah, so let's see how we do here. PDD looking pretty darn delicious. I don't know. Still looking for some opportunities. I'll probably have my eye on Tesla just because I generally do, but I don't have many reads on many things right now. Anything else you're looking at before we head into the lesson?
Yeah, I kind of had a bunch of names on watch, just waiting for things to set up and align with the playbook there. But yeah, NVIDIA, we know what NVIDIA has been doing. NVIDIA, nice little strong push off of the open, holding VWAP as of right now. Look at that. Only about, roughly 2 dips into VWAP, and both of them get bought up, and we continue to make fresh highs on NVIDIA as well. Had QCOM on watch. QCOM, again, pushing fresh highs, but it kind of gave up a decent chunk of the move right off of the open there. So nothing too crazy. Wasn't really involved in that one, but it seems like it's gone back above VWAP. Reclaimed and kind of continued. Dell as well. We know that last week we had their event, and it was doing some interesting moves. We made like a strong push both on Thursday and Friday. I was looking for some more of the same today, but didn't really come in that hot off of the open. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna piece off of that one. Not really too crazy, but the dip off of this 160 was bought up. 161 was bought up pretty aggressively, so kind of missed out on that little piece there. But nothing too crazy for me. Again, waiting for the next trade. Let us know in the chat where you guys are trading as well, so we can take a quick look at that also. But yeah, what's up with the lesson for today?
Yeah, let's do that lesson. So yeah, we are going to be talking about futures. So the future will be pretty bright this week. And today we're going to talk about an intro to trading futures contracts, which should hopefully be pretty spicy and exciting. And yeah, let's get into that. So we have done Futures Week in the past. We're going to kind of do a re-up here, a little bit more detail, a little bit more spice for people who were not there for that. So let's get right into the futures, or back to the futures, if you will.
Okay.
And I will, because you got to put a pun in there. So what's a futures contract? I mean, basically, to put it lightly, it's going to be a standardized, not to put it lightly, just what it is. It's a standardized agreement basically to buy or sell an asset at a future date and price. And so futures contracts are traded on exchanges, and they can be for commodities, financial instruments, or anything else. We have some other more specific examples of futures contracts coming in later in this presentation. So certainly stay tuned for that. Do you trade a lot of futures? I know you trade like the SPY sometimes, or?
Yeah, I do dabble in the SPY every now and then, but futures, not yet. But again, like I do watch futures very closely for when I'm trading like large caps, especially tech names. I'll be watching the NQ. Again, like you can go on. I think the site I use is like Slick Charts. It shows you what the constituents are for each of them. So like every day it's kind of changing based off of market cap. So if I'm trading anything that's like a larger constituent of the futures, I'll definitely have the futures on watch for sure to kind of guide me in the trade.
Yeah, that's smart. That makes sense. And I will say as well, like I've noticed having the futures up while you're trading these mega caps does help a lot as someone who wasn't like regularly doing that for some reason earlier. So shout out to that, and thank you for going over that for us. Key concepts here to talk about include leverage, which basically allows traders to control a larger position with a relatively small amount of capital, and this can magnify potential gains, but it's also a double-edged sword because it can also magnify your potential losses, which no one wants. That is not a fun time. What about margin? This is basically the collateral required, or that can be required to open and maintain a futures position. So the initial margin is going to be what you use to open the position, and then the maintenance is also required to keep the position open once said position has been opened. So interesting note there. So now we're going to do an overview of some contracts, which is I think kind of fun. Shout out to Opie for putting these notes together. So we do have the E-mini S&P 500, or the ES. So this will represent a portion of the S&P 500 index, which is basically going to be those larger U.S. names. So it's a really popular choice if you want some of that U.S. large cap exposure, or as Obi was just talking about, if you want to see what these names are doing, if you're trading, maybe a major constituent in the S&P 500, you're like, hey, how's that SPY doing? You might want to spy the SPY while you're trading, so you can get a sense if that's moving. Are you seeing any resistance or support? Will this impact your position? Or one thing I've noticed as well can be really helpful, if what you're trading is moving opposite to the NQ or the S&P 500, that's also something worth noting as well. So either trading it or keeping an eye on it, also definitely a helpful time. So each tick for the S&P 5, the ES is going to be worth about 1250. So minimum price fluctuation is going to be 0.25 index points. So for example, if the index is at 4,000, one ES contract would be worth about $200,000. So interesting look there. What about the NQ? I mean, come on. Like, I'm sure you know NQ&A time over here. Let's talk about the NQ. So this one will track the NASDAQ 100 index, which is, of course, heavily weighted towards these tech stocks. If you have a larger tech name in the NQ and you're trading that, if you're trading NVIDIA, you might be like, hey, what's the NQ up to? Like, you know what I mean? Or Tesla, Apple, etc. These names that are going to be the heavyweights there. You might want to be looking at the S&P 500 and the NQ, but maybe weight it more towards the NQ, right? It's always something worth considering. That is for sure. So each tick for this is going to be worth about $5 with a minimum price fluctuation of 0.25 index points. You've got the index at 13,000. One NQ contract would be worth $260,000. So nice look there. Other futures to talk about here, of course, this isn't like an exhaustive list, but just an example of some other futures contracts to be aware of. Crude oil, which is actually up today, by the way. So CL, this is one of the most heavily traded futures and actually provides a direct way to interact and trade the global oil market. Each contract represents about 1,000 barrels of oil. You also have gold, GC. I mean, shout out to Costco there with its gold bars. But gold, certainly one worth noting. This is actually used to hedge against inflation and currency fluctuations, each contract representing 100 troy ounces of gold. And agricultural futures, of which there are aplenty, there are several, but some to keep in mind here. You've got ZC, which is corn. It's about 5,000 bushels of corn per contract. Soybeans, also going to be 5,000 bushels per contract, and this is ZS. And you also have cocoa, 10 metric tons of cocoa per contract. That's going to be represented by CC. So these are some of these there's so many futures contracts out there, man.
Yeah, for a lot of like commodities, and there's currency contracts as well. I know euro dollar is a big one that gets traded as well. But yeah, no, definitely interesting. It's funny that for some of them, like it's like cash settled. So like when the contract kind of finishes, you settle in cash. But some of them, you have to take actual delivery of product. So I think one of the examples might be like cattle. So it's like if you hold that cattle contract maybe a little too long, you might have to take delivery of a bunch of cattle. So you know, you might want to watch out for that one.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that actually when I was doing like the e-courses before starting. I remember that, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, that's kind of really odd to feel like, oh, you might want to sell some of that ahead of time. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. What a time. But yeah, so let's talk here as well about some basic strategies. So, of course, you know, some of these are going to be a bit more self-explanatory, but worth talking about them, especially in the context and through the lens of futures trading, right? So you've got day trading, so buying or selling contracts within the same day. Of course, the goal of this, as we do a lot here on Trader TV Live, is going to be taking advantage of these shorter-term price movements. What about swing trading? Shout out to Michael Noss, the Noss boss. So this will involve taking positions for several days to weeks, and this the goal of this will be to take advantage of longer-term price movements. So this is especially interesting with regards to futures. If you think about it too, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, of course, can have these wild swings, and they can move on a whim with regards to things like, you know, bond auctions, Fed speak. You know, Kyle Burdett was talking about crash Kari earlier in the chat. So you always want to be very cognizant, especially for holding these positions longer in general with swing trading. But swing trading futures, I think, certainly could bring an extra element of risk. So I thought that was kind of interesting here. Also hedging. So this is actually going to be used more by producers and consumers. And you can do this to lock in prices and manage risks. So let's talk about some other tips before we wrap up this here futures lesson. So risk management, of course, always going to be important, but especially as we mentioned, you can have these massive swings in futures, and it can be kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg situation, right? Let's say you have a big move down in NVIDIA, and the futures move down. Did the futures move down because of NVIDIA? Did NVIDIA move down because of the futures? Either way, you have a move down, right? So you want to be really cognizant of these types of moves. Stop losses are great. And make sure that you have those ready in case the position goes awry. Also diversification, especially with regards to futures. You don't want to be all in one specific asset or market. You know, spread the little the seeds throughout the acreage instead of all in one plot. That analogy worked better in my head. Let's also talk about resources, right? So you might want to consider certain websites. You know, Investopedia is a great resource, especially if you're first starting out. The CME group, shout out as well for a little bit more info. Or we also have some previous how to trade sessions on the futures as well. So you can check those out as well on our channel. But yeah, that is futures looking pretty bright. Actually, yeah, the futures themselves are doing okay. I said that. I was like, actually, how are the Qs doing? Qs are okay. Have you been looking at or involved in any names over here right now?
No, not right now. I'm kind of still watching eyes on Apple. It's still consolidating. I don't necessarily want to get involved in the consolidation at like too much. I guess, again, what I've been kind of repeating to myself is like consolidations tend to be continuation patterns, but if it's going to kind of chop in the middle of its opening range, this little move up to 193, 190 and a half right now, kind of want to just stay patient. Let's see maybe a break of the range, or maybe a little distinct move. We are around VWAP as well. Another name that I'm watching is INSM. They were up I think over 100% overnight, kind of closing in around the 20s, made a high in the 60s this morning, and kind of fading off, made a shelf on in and around that 50. But again, I think they have positive news on their primary trial for lung disease. So I do have that on watch. Definitely an interesting move here on that good news for the company. But other than that, I do have a long list of other names that I do consider in play, some technical, some catalyst-driven tickers, but nothing really that's really come to fruition. I was watching Procter & Gamble as well. PG been selling off, a little bit of a technical breakdown, and I kind of missed the move there. As here, I'll pull it up while I talk about it and show you guys what I am talking about right here. So we did a nice little flat, not really flat, but consolidation on Friday. Again, consolidation continuation pattern right here. Strong selling on Thursday, consolidates pretty much sideways all day Friday. Coming in today, wicks the low of that, and then look at that, 165s to 162 halves, straight selling to the downside. Now, what do I mean by technical breakdown? Again, now this is a trade that I missed, so of course it looks great in retrospect. I'm not too happy that I kind of missed it as well. But you can see right here, since earnings, it's been on quite a strong uptrend, right? So technical breakdown right here. Bing bang, right there. So it's nice little trend. It's holding multiple lows. And then as of Friday, we consolidated beneath the break of that trend, and now we're getting that continuation back to the downside here. So I definitely did miss that. Pretty clean trade. Again, looking back at it, it does look nice. But again, I was not necessarily involved with it here. Seems like the opening range low as well. Break held quite nicely, and it's continuing to make fresh lows as we speak right now. And you can see in the pre-market, doesn't really do too much volume, but definitely RVol is there in the pre-market, and a little bit doing above 1 RVol as well off the open. So I am kind of watching this one on the sidelines, but it's already done the move. It's kind of a little extended to the downside. I don't necessarily want to punch short at the lows as of right now, but again, another name on watch. Nothing too crazy. I know there was some earnings from last week that I do have on watch. There was Decker's Outdoor Corporation, again, kind of strong and held a consolidation. It's continuing now. It's a $1,000 ticker, so I don't know. As of right now, it needs to make like a distinct movement in order for me to really get involved. Another one I was also watching was Workday. Workday, strong sell-off on Friday off of earnings day one, and I was like, I'm looking for that continuation, but take a look at what happens right off of the open. It continues pretty hard. It goes from 220s down to 210s, or 211s is the low right now, and yeah, about a 9-point wash right off of the open. So missed out on the continuation trade there. Had to be there right off of the open to really get involved. But other than that, I don't really have too much going on. Just kind of, again, waiting for the next trade. Let's see what Apple does in and around VWAP. Apple was one of my top ideas, along with INSM. And of course, I know that a lot of people are trading AMC and GME. GME also on watch for me. It was attempting to push prior kind of consolidation highs that we've had off of the craziness that we had a couple weeks ago, right? So we dropped back down below 30, nice little flush, and holding above 20 with the highs at 24 halves, 24 40s, and in the pre-market. And I think the news was they were done with their note offering, or they're done selling the shares or whatever, and it got some nice volume on Friday as well as this morning off of that. And I was looking for that continuation or pullback, but again, it did pull back off of the open. Now just pretty much sideways here, pulling back up as of right now with a little bit of volume. But again, you can see that it's doing some RVol right now over 3, kind of pushing back up to that 24. So you know what? I'm just going to put an alert over here to see if it can kind of come in and push that level as of right now. Pre-market highs 2440s, 2430s as of right now. So let's see, it's only about a point away. But other than that, I don't have too much going on. Let us know in the chat again what you guys are watching today. What do you got going on?
Yeah, shout out to that. Definitely let us know what's going on here. Tesla, I'm looking at. I mean, this is actually a line that, no joke, I had drawn on, I guess, previously, and I just opened it up and it was here, which was nice. But we're weirdly bouncing off this level that I clearly thought was a level at some point last week, this 174.80-ish. And that's always nice when things bounce. I think also, too, we had that chop and turn earlier. So I think this could be an interesting look. I'm not only saying that because of a level I drew last week. I'm just saying that it's interesting that we came into confluence with that level previously. Also, I find this area of resistance to be deeply fascinating, that 176. So I want to see what we do here. We have these failed wicks to break above it. I don't want to stand in the way of a Cybertruck. So we're going to have to wait and breathe and see. Shout out to B. Kyle Burdett saying in the chat, I believe he was in a short on this at some point. So TSLA working out there. Also, this AMD trade, I think sometimes it's not about, like, you know, you say it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. It's not about, like, the winning trade, it's about how you manage it. Yeah. Because, I mean, look at this AMD. This could have been an AM disaster. I got out of this right before we had that big break up into 172s, right? And I'm not trying to be like, oh, like, look at this. Like, no, it's still a losing trade. But I said if we have that decisive push towards 80s, I'm getting out. We had the decisive push towards 80s, got out. Pleased as punch would be a strong word, but I am not displeased either, and I'm proud of how I managed the trade, which I think sometimes is worth noting. This could have gone better had I just scalped out at 30s, but I was like, no, I want 22s, which is like, just get what you get, don't get upset. So I'm going to learn from that AMD trade. Not an AMD disaster. You know, I made an AM decision. You just got to live with it. Got to keep going, keep pushing. Tesla, what will you do at 176? Let's find out. What else are people looking at here? Kava. They report tonight.
Oh, yeah.
CAVA. So let's see. Take a look at Kava. The glitch, looking at this one over here. So, okay, yeah, I mean, volume actually pretty good here. 2.5 million shares. I love this VWAP bounce. There is something in the water here at VWAP. We did bounce off this twice. We had that break, I don't want to say double bottom, but kind of near those pre-market low level of 83.20. We bounced back up. We aren't able to break above these pre-market highs, mind you, but we do kind of come into that 86 level, a bit of support, becoming a bit of resistance. Let's see what we do here at VWAP. We are kind of on a downtrend here since making the 86 level around 10:30, but we are still holding VWAP. So CAVA could be an interesting one. Let's take a look at the daily chart and see what's shaking here. This is a great daily chart on Kava. Wow. Yeah, I have no words. I mean, uptrend. Yeah. We do have a bit of a move down here to that 58 area, April 22nd. But look, we bounce off that previous resistance, and we kind of form a pretty clear support level around that 58, 59. And since then, the uptrend has not stopped. So great look for CAVA. There could be this could be an interesting report to digest. Food-related pun intended here as we get that tonight. So Sean and I are going to bring you those on the Market Recap Show. But CAVA, interesting. And I think one of the bigger earnings looks that we do have today, though later this week we have some massive ones. How are you doing over here?
Nothing too crazy here. That Kava does look quite interesting. I didn't know that it was bidding up like that on the daily here. It kind of reminds me of ANF. Another earnings name I think we have this week, right? Abercrombie is reporting later on. But yeah, look at this day chart over here. Again, quite crazy. I was like, okay, well, maybe we're pulling back as of April, but look at this right here. Since the beginning of 23, kind of very, very strong. And I think it was something like they had a few years of just like missing on earnings, and then all of a sudden you can see that they started reporting quite aggressively in terms of above expected. Look at that, 7,000% above expected. Again, 500% over expected, and then 52. So it's like we've been in a nice little trend action in both their earnings and doing much better relative to the past few years before 23 and 22, it would seem. But yeah, look at that. ANF pushing fresh highs along with some of these other names in the market as well. So there goes the NQ. NQ kind of held that 18.9, and I'm watching this Apple here as well. ES, and I think you were talking about earlier about how we look at the futures for either a strong connection or even a disconnection, right? So is there like an inverse kind of effect going on there? Is ES going up and one of the constituents going down? So something I noticed this morning, now again, it could be just a little bit of maybe just my perception, but I was just like, oh, Apple is dancing a little bit more to the tune of the ES than it is to the NQ. Again, the NQ being pulled along a little bit more by NVIDIA, I would say. NVIDIA quite strong. Let me pull up NVIDIA. I don't have it on watch here. But yeah, NVIDIA kind of strong off of making more fresh highs this week. Start of the week, kind of gap up above this prior day's levels, 1060, and then we're pushing 1100 right now, 1124 being the high of day. So a nice little trend. And again, we can see that since earnings, it's held this trend so far. So it's only day 3 of earnings right now. But since earnings, it's held this trend over the past couple of weeks leading up into earnings as well. We are holding trend. You can see the strong volume that did come in on this flush down to 750s. And since then, we've only been bought up since then, again, giving a continuation to the bigger picture trend that we've been having over the past year or so. We know that 24 was definitely the year of AI. 23 was a year of AI as well, and 24 a nice little continuation to the upside. Now, again, I'm seeing a lot of memes online and a lot of different things saying that, yeah, it's kind of like the gold rush, right? And then these guys, NVIDIA is the one who's selling shovels, so they're making some of the most money right now in this whole process of discovering what AI could bring to the world and to technological advancement. So yeah, definitely an interesting time we are living in here with, again, NVIDIA pushing all-time highs. And another one that's pretty strong, and I know a couple of people in the chat are talking about it as well, is AMD. Can't stop, won't stop, also making some fresh highs on the day. We know that last Thursday, quite a strong quadunk off of this 170 attempt, and it only took about a couple of days, but we're right back at it here. The high being 173, only about a point off of that. So let's take a look at a higher time frame here on the hourly. Again, kind of a similar story here. Post earnings kind of sold off, but now we're holding above that earnings reaction high here at that 160, trying to push for more highs there, multi-month highs. As we can see, a bit of a consolidation pattern happened in April, and we're kind of struggling with it, but attempting to push that level as well. So I do want to take a look at it on the weekly. Look at this beautiful chart. Wow. So it's absolutely to the upside, pulled back in 23, but we are holding some of those highs there off of the 22 run up there. So we're holding some of that, 150 being the low as of right now. Look at those multi-week run right here. So a little bit of a wick through the 50, holds the 140. Now we're pushing right back at 172 on AMD. So yeah, some of these chip makers definitely leading the way for these markets making all-time highs.
Yeah, I mean, really nice. So speaking of, these all-time highs and the strength in the market, I want to go long the DQs. I say want to. I am involved, but the plan is to build this position. So I am aware getting involved in your highs of days, A, something I would not have even considered doing a while ago, and B, I mean, there's some inherent risk here, right? But I have a strategy, and I think it could just be crazy enough to work. And my plan is, so I didn't get involved right at highs, right? I said I initially liked 86s. We didn't get to 86s. I said to Dara, be like a little bit chasey, just a skosh of chase, just a dash of tonic, just like a bit of Coke, a bit of Sprite there to add a little bit of chase to this market. So I want to get out. I wanted to get involved at 87s instead, so I ended up chasing like one set. I can live with that. I'm going to get out part of this position, 65.93s. I'm aware that's like a 6-penny winner, but the plan is going to be to continue to add and subtract into this. I want to utilize my scalpier nature to take advantage of a pop that we might get on this. If we get a pop, great, I can take advantage of that. If not, then I still have my few pieces or dreams I've collected along the way. Basically, the plan is if we fail this 65.70, that's a hard out, but I'm going to be adding if we find support along the way. I do want that flat top breakout. I do want all the smoke, and I do want to build a position that I can live with. Couple names being mentioned here. ARM, Brad Gober mentioned, and a couple other people. Yeah, this one's a rocket to the upside. So when arm wrestling short sellers over here, this is a great look. Hopefully no one is short in this name and everyone is thriving here. But this is a really nice look. These bounces off the 90 MA are great. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 straight green candles here to the upside on the 5-minute. This is a really nice look here on ARM. Let's look at the daily because we know this one has had quite the performance since that earnings we had in January. Oh, okay, this is nice. It's a really nice look. So we had that big earnings move. We never fully filled the gap, which is nice, even when we had that move to the downside, recovering pretty nicely. However, we're kind of approaching, or not approaching, we're basically, in that previous pre-market, not pre-market, wow, this previous support level of that 125. So I think breaking decisively above that 125 could be a nice look for ARM. Let's look at HIMS as well, because HIMS and hers, oh, this is the NY, has been mentioned quite a few times here in this chat. So let's see how HIMS and hers are doing on the day. Up about 10%. This is another really rocket shapey kind of look, much like ARM. Both of them just continuing to the upside. HIMS, though, giving you less dip buy opportunities. ARMS gives you those dip buys on the 90 MA. HIMS is like, I don't need to do that. I'll just keep flying. GME as well. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, yeah, this is a great look here for GME. And I also love this area. Look at that rejection, not once but twice. In the pre-market, also below VWAP. We try again, and GME's like, I don't think so. Continuing to the upside, great look. I love this look, yes sir, but I do like rap music. I do talk fast. I do try to keep up with these here markets. So shout out to you. Shout out to everyone here. And shout out to the Qs, because they are moving, and I got my first out here. How are you doing?
Yeah, Apple kind of broke out of that consolidation underneath VWAP as of right now. The tape is speeding up a little bit here. If you guys want to follow along on the screen. Yeah, 192 coming in. I took a short here in and around this 192 earlier. We did consolidate right underneath VWAP, and we are pushing to the upside here. If we do look at a 15-minute chart on Apple, we can see here, that's AMD, Apple. So we can see how much of a shake and bake we've had off of the news. So we kind of rip up in the pre-market, 194.81 being the high. You kind of flush off of the open, maybe a little bit of capitulatory action there. It holds prior day consolidation high. I was slightly disappointed not having the long in and around here. I was watching it and I was like, this is giving me about 20 pennies worth of risk. Could I get involved? Yes, potentially, but I did want to respect a little bit of the overall trend that we did have off of the morning flush. We already did test that 195 on a significant R-vol here. You can see that it was doing above 5 R-vol in the pre-market, and then kind of fading off with that volume, not only with the relative volume, with the volume off of the open as well. You can see how distinctly different this is right now. Opening volume obviously going to be high, but look at the next few candles as well, quite high as well, printing above prior days kind of average volume as well, right? So the first, these are 15-minute bars, so the first hour or so printed a lot more volume than the average volume that went in on Friday when we had that nice little bid up into this 190 half. So I am watching this right now. I do want to get in on the right side of the V here, and it seems like this 190.50 is quite a strong bottom as of right now, with a strong wick to the downside. But again, I do want to respect this trend. This was off of a catalyst, right? So this action happened off of a catalyst, and market kind of, I guess we digested a little bit of it, and that's kind of what I'm looking at here in terms of a trend. We push up into that 193. I was involved with that 193 push, right? Because I'm like, is this reverting back up? And in 193 gets slammed right back in. I'm like, oh boy, I don't want to stay involved here below the halves right there. And then look at that, it comes right back in, makes a fresh low at that 190 half. So as of right now, we are attempting to push back up. So the question I always ask is, if the bid is real on what may seem like a strong catalyst, and we start to pull back, when does a bid catch? When does a bid catch back on? And it seems like that 190 half may be the place. 191 kind of holding right now. And again, when we put that VWAP back on, we are still kind of holding in and around this VWAP underneath this 92. Again, 93 gets slammed, 92 gets slammed. Now we're attempting to push right back into that 192. So with the futures kind of dancing around with this 18.9, I am staying patient and watching. But something that is still going strong in its trend, again, is AMD. AMD making some fresh highs here as of right now. We talked about that 173.13 being that high of last week. So last week's high, again, pulling it up on a weekly chart here. We are about to break prior we are about to break prior bar high on the weekly. Now you can see how strong that's kind of been here off of this consolidation break, breaking the 160. I got a couple anchors in there that probably not too relevant as of right now, but again, you can see a little bit of a potential 3-bar happening here on the weekly where you kind of bid up, you have a little bit of a consolidation, maybe an indecisive kind of candle here, and then we're pushing up, continuing the move back to the upside. So maybe a larger time frame reversion of this little move that we had off of the 227 here. So we pulled back quite aggressively from 227 highs into that 150. Now consolidation break back up. How much further are we going to go? We've gone about 31 points here. So over the past, what is this, about 4 or 5 weeks or so after a bit of consolidation. So AMD quite strong on the day. Let us know if you guys are trading AMD on the day. I know people are talking about, what is it, Tilsterville is talking about Lucy. Now we know Lucy was interesting last week, so we can take a quick look at Lucy as well. What that is up to. Did quite a bunch of volume last week on Friday. Again, attempting to push that $1 mark. Didn't really come in, and we pulled back quite nicely, about a 50% pullback off of some of those highs from Friday. So yeah, definitely interesting. Is it doing volume again today? It is doing about 34 million. So, but again, distinctly lower than prior days volume, where again, if you take a look at this, it did almost $1 billion worth of volume, 944 million shares traded on day one of this move on Lucy. So definitely know a lot of people are watching it. Again, sub-dollar stock. I don't really partake. I don't really participate in it. But again, definitely does not mean that trades are not there. Does not mean that it does not have liquidity. There's a lot of dollar volume, especially last week that was going through this name. And yeah, definitely something to watch for. Again, price action is king in my opinion, and it definitely has a lot of opportunities based off of price action as well. But potentially a liquidity trap if it's going to do so much volume on the initial day and then kind of die off on day 2. Let's see what it does. Maybe it's setting up for something similar, which reminds me, let's take a quick look at FFIE. Now I know a lot of people have had that one on watch as well. FFIE did a bit of a similar kind of trappy action here. If we go on the daily, you can see it a little bit better. So attempts to push that $1 mark, can't really get there, blasts off the next couple of days all the way into the $4 mark. Is that the actual high? Yeah, exactly. So 390 is the high, and we've been kind of pulling back off of that, consolidating, can't really get back below that $1 mark. So definitely something interesting to keep an eye on, but again, not necessarily my cup of tea as of right now. Again, I tend to kind of lean a little bit more towards larger caps here. So we are pulling back off of this 18,940. We can see this pre-market consolidation on the NQs that we just clipped on this 15-minute candle. How much time is left on the 15-minute candle, you may ask? I am asking. 6 minutes and 30 seconds left, and we are pulling back. So distinctly kind of past the halfway mark on that 15-minute candle right now. So let's see if we're gonna print a little bit of red here. But again, we have been bidding up since the open here. Again, pushing right back on top of this 18.9. We wicked that 18.9 on the NQ, and we are making relatively higher highs as well. So I'm going to stay patient here. I am continuing to watch Apple for the next trade. What is the next trade for you guys? I'll be watching the chat to find out. What do you got going on, Adara?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just watching the cues like a hawk over here. Speaking of hawks, Kashkari somehow still talking. That was not a planned transition, but it really worked out for me. Kashkari is still apparently talking. Shout out to Day Trader Cut for putting this in the chat. I certainly won't pencil in more than 2 rate cuts for 2024, so thank you to you, Day Trader Cut. Feds Kashkari continuing to talk about rate cuts. Also, though, I want to say on the TQs, we get to 65.80 every time, and we see this massive bounce. So that means if this falls, I think it could fall pretty viciously. Right now, though, we haven't fallen, which is why I haven't panic sold yet. I'm very proud of myself. Progress, growth, personal improvement. So nice look there. That being said, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be like there's no possibility of these heading down. I think there is a pretty strong possibility, but for my purposes, I have no reason to leave the trade yet. Initially said I wanted 70s. Now, just because I've noticed how clear of a resistance the 65, or sorry, support, the 65 has been, that's the level I'm watching. I did add to the position around 91s. Should have probably added a little bit lower, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. I did what I did. You got to live with that. I think we could be turning a little bit. I just want to see what we do around these 65, 86s because this has definitely been a level and a half. Let's look at the SPY as well, which I think another one to look at. Shout out to both Joanna Brewster and Kyle Burdett in the chat. I know Kyle is short the SPY, so I guess short the spile, if you want to make a pun. And then also, I know Joanna Burdett, or no, I'm combining names now. It's a day. Joanna Brewster, shout out to you guys, saying as well, we did have this, you know, topping tail candle coming in the future. So this hasn't really materialized yet, but it'll certainly be one to keep an eye on. Both the S&P 500 and the NQs doing certain things here. P to the D to the D as well. Oh, yeah. Still on my eyes. Initially, I was like, oh, I want to go short. Happy I didn't go short because PDD has not looked back since then. If we bounce, though, if we bounce off the 90 MA, that's a nice long, I think. I think it's a nice long. I like that it's off the 90 MA. I like that it's kind of near VWAP. I like that it's off that previous area of resistance. There's nothing I don't like here. Gaurav mentioning, oh yeah, and PDD just popped off, so I guess it does not want me involved, so shout out to that. Nice look. Gaurav here mentioning Dell. Let's take a look at Dell, continuing to bounce off the 90 MA here. It's a nice look. Heading into earnings, making higher highs, going from its VWAP. Yeah, I think so too. I think this is one that it's a little bit hard to time your entry, and I say that because we're not having, like, I want to pull up ARM as a comparison because ARM is giving you, or at least, yeah, it still is. ARM's giving you these like clear dip buys to get involved in, right? You have your move, then you got a dip buy. You have your move up, dip buy, right? I think with Dell, it's a little bit harder to find a perfect point of entry because instead of these dips, at least in the 5 minute, what you're seeing is kind of these intense plateaus, these intense flat tops, then a big move down, then a big move back up, right? So I think it's a little bit harder to have a read on where you want to enter this. Furthermore, we're kind of struggling with the 90 MA here, so Dell could get interesting. I think this will be an interesting one to keep an eye on here, but I did want to put out there, yeah, that I think this one is a little bit harder to find entry points, though. We're also finding a little bit of resistance here at that free-market chop and churn area, a little bit that 167.70, 168. Shout out to you though, Gaurav. I think this one definitely has more upside opportunity. I just find it, for my purposes, to be a little bit harder to gauge a point of entry than something like an ARM. Lucy Live, apparently, says Bob Curran in all caps. So let's take another look at Lucy. Shout out to Obi for covering this one. Yeah, I mean, continuing to move up here, I still think there's some resistance. Oh, okay. I just realized too, I was like, you know what was resistance and support, an interesting level last week on the 5 minute? That 70 area, where is it? There you are. That 70, 75 area was really interesting last week. So the fact that that's also where we're seeing a little bit of resistance this week, 70 cents could get spicy for me for LUCY. Right now, though, I am still chilling in the futures. How are you doing? I just got an alert for GME, and just a couple seconds ago, Sean was like, yeah, GME, he is long on the GameStop, and we were talking about that 430 being the high there. So now we have made a little bit of a higher high than the pre-market high. So it did push up. It is kind of strong. Look at that expanding. Oh, there we go. Expanding volume going into the break. Huh? That's really nice there on GME. So again, I'm going to be patiently waiting. I may or may not have a little bit of a bias on this name, but again, bias does not matter. Just got to follow the chart and the price action. The price action in the chart is kind of telling me that we are pushing these pre-market highs with the volume increasing. So I'm going to kind of watch that right there. And yeah, I guess the long was definitely the trade to be in off of some of these lower levels there as we're pushing up in towards these highs. Let's see if it kind of continues. Taking a look at a bit of a higher time frame on the hourly, we were just talking about this. We can see that these highs right here, just underneath 25s, and there's pretty much air up in the 26. So this could potentially have a move up to the next stop there, which could be 26. But again, let's see how much volume it's doing on the day. It's doing about 38. The average 30-day volume is 40 million. So yeah, it definitely could. It's not even
Hasn't even been half of the trading day just yet, but yeah, so, and we've already done about the average 30-day volume as of right now. You can see the volume bars kind of picking up here, a little bit distinctly higher than some of those days from last week, with this volume being sustained and volume coming in to GME as of right now. So yeah, it is on the rise, Sean. So yeah, nice little long there. What's what's your average there? On 21.59. Wow, that is an entry. Nice. That's absolutely solid. Nice trade there, Sean. Okay, that is, you're out is $50. All right.
I'm more impressed
Sean,
with Shopify long by
okay, Shopify long. Let's take a look at that one as well. 57.40, you said? 57.40. Okay, yeah, that's nice. Right on the dip. Wow. Okay, so you pretty much Sean made the bottom right there at that 57.40 as we kind of accelerate to the upside there, but over half a point in the money right there. But Shopify very strong. Did this thing have a split recently, or no? I think I'm used to. Yeah, I'm used to looking at Shopify on the TSX there, but a little higher priced on the Toronto Exchange, I think. Yeah, okay, so 78. Yeah, okay, so cool. But yeah, nice little push on Shopify into some prior levels here. So nice look there, Sean, on strong ticker on the day. I am still kind of watching this Apple. I'm also watching Boeing as well. We know Boeing's been on the news. Again, another technical trade for me. I was like, look for that continuation. It'll be in the morning, and was not really watching it. Why was I looking for that? Friday we had, so Thursday actually, we can start off with the story on Thursday. Strong flush to the downside with some RVOL. We attempt to break lower, 170 holds, and then we reclaim that, closing at or near high a day. So I'm like, that dip got bought up real quick on a higher time frame, just slightly. And I'm like, look for that continuation off of the open. But oh boy, does that continuation happen real fast, and then pulls right back in off of that 178, 174s on Boeing. On the Boeing company, and yeah, so that trade is kind of gone for me. Dell continuing to push higher there. So again, looking similar to that story on Boeing, where the dip kind of gets bought up, and we are getting a bit of a V-shaped recovery happening off of this 161 low. Oh boy, what a reversion! It's pushed almost 7 points off of this low, 161 to 168. Here, 170 being the highs right now on Dell. Again, we have their earnings coming up as well this week, I think. So nice little action that we've been having off of the event that they had going on last week. I think a 3 or 4 day event that happened. They were presenting some products that are, again, AI related products, and we've been seeing some nice volatility in the name since then, Thursday, Friday, and again today. Nice little V-shape moves day after day on Dell.
Yeah, I mean, Dell has certainly, yeah, it's hard to quell Dell there. Dell continuing to the upside. Great look. TQs also just gave me another out, so please just punch about that. I still want to add to this position because I'm not like adding and holding, right? I'm adding and scalping, so that's been kind of the goal. However, I like this because it actually won't give me my fill, which is like good, I think, in a way. Or in terms of like adding to the position, because I wanted 65.88s and TQQs, which earlier could get to 65.88s in 2 seconds flat and then pop right back up. They don't want to go below 90s now. I'm like, okay, do your thing, 21. I see you, TQs. I'm okay with that. So that's what's happening here. I still think we could have that breakout. I'm still saving some shares for that breakout, but I do love scalping as well, so that's why I've been kind of piecing in and out throughout. That 66 area is kind of spicy to me as well, so I do want to get out another part of the position there. Whether or not I'm able to add here, it's not about the share size for me. I'm just adding because I feel confident in the position. I want to express that by having more shares. But I mean, I like the position no matter what. I'm going to execute it in the same way, no matter what. If we break below 80s, bye TQs. Can y'all take a look at Meta, says Vin. Yeah, you're very welcome. I think this is Meta's an interesting look. There is a dark pool wick doing things for me for some reason. But yeah, shout out to Kyle Burdett, who was mentioning this one earlier as well in the chat. I think this, as kind of a range, I think this 9 EMA Rejection is pretty nice. This is a level we know that I love a lot. I was trying to see if the 1 minute chart makes this any easier to see. And it doesn't really, unfortunately, but I mean, you can still kind of see we are below that 90 EMA. Every time we think we're gonna kind of crack decisively below it, we don't, which I think is kind of interesting. Or I mean, not the 90 EMA, I mean like to make a lower low here. So I think Meta does have that chop and turn. I should fix the wicks on my chart, but I've noticed from just for what it's worth, what I'm doing on the book here, what I'm seeing in the books, I've been trying to read the book more, that 476, 24, 25, kind of an area of resistance here. So keep an eye on that level for Meta. I'm not seeing a lot on the chart that's making me think this will continue to push up. I think a claim of the 90 EMA on the 5 minute would be a nice look, but right now, continuing to duck below that 90 EMA, a little bit of a, you know, ping pong type action there. A pun coming here from Compass Eric's Moderna. So let's take a look at Moderna, mRNA. With that in mind, this was my worst name of the week. And you might be like, how can someone have the worst name of the week? You can if you revenge play Moderna. So that was very much my mistake. But this is an interesting look here. We had that kind of move down here into 154s. We have a bit of a chop and turn. Further move down. Try to break above 154s, not so fast. Now we're seeing this continued kind of consolidation. Not exactly what we saw in Apple, but I think certainly this interesting chop and turn as we find a direction that we want. I think if this does end up materializing as a flat top break at 154, that could be really spicy, especially because that was an area of resistance we saw a little bit earlier, but I don't have a clear read on this one right now. But yeah, I liked that pun. Shout out to you, Compass RX. So shout out to PDT. Which I know I keep forgetting about in favor of these like flashy TQQ plays and my weird AMD short decision, which actually I'm still proud of the management on this, case in point. But that PDD, I don't know, these wicks I don't love, but I think there could be something here in PDD that I still want to keep an eye on. How are you doing?
Sorry, just taking a sip of coffee
No
there.
apologies for coffee.
Again, I'm watching Dell. Dell's on my radar. Thank you for pointing that out. Again, Dara, that push is coming right back in towards day highs there at that 170. So I want to see if we're going to kind of push that 170. Are we gonna rip right back up? Again, a lot of selling that went on off of this level here. So if we can kind of push right back up into 170, we're kind of maybe potentially putting some shorts in a sweaty state there on there. So nice little workout potentially for the shorts. Getting sweaty over this 168 level here, 170 being the high. So I am looking at this. VWAP hold was quite nice, 160, 165 and 165 halves up into 167. Just waiting on that. Apple still kind of churning this VWAP. Again, we talked about a potential break of this little move here, but comes right back into this 192. So maybe we are building into this. Again, we talk about that 15-minute chart, and I put this trend line here from the pre-market, very aggressive trend, strong selling coming off of the open, and then we are holding underneath this trend as of right now. Again, it's just a line on the chart. Doesn't mean too much unless and until something distinctly happens with the price action here on the chart. But I can't really get too much of a read on it as of right now, as it is just trading sideways. Again, it's kind of the midday session where things might be digesting, things might be cooling off before they make a distinct move there. But AMD also watching. AMD on watch as well. Sean saying he's $3 in the money. I'm going to assume that is on GME, right? So GME, yeah, I know GME is still kind of going here. Let's take a quick look at that, but I do want to pull up, oh wow, okay, so 25 coming in there. So we are pushing up into some of those levels. Again, we talk about the break with expanding volume. We are slowly pushing higher highs as well. Let's go to a higher time frame right there. Look at the 15-minute. We've only been bidding up on the 15 since about 10:30, 10:45 being the break of this lower consolidation here on GME. So quite some strong action there. We saw that they are done. They're done their offering. Some of the selling that they were supposed to be doing kind of finished on that. So maybe that sell pressure is off the charts as of right now. If you know what I mean. Apple coming right back in. So, okay, so let's see what's going on here. Maybe a pullback in on the NQs as well. But again, still well within this range. If I were to put a line over here and another one over here, okay, well, that didn't work out too well. But okay, so right there, a bit of a range going on, kind of a chop happening there on the Apple. So not yet. I don't think I don't want to get too involved as of right now. If it's just going to do nothing, go sideways. But again, on the break, if we have a distinct move on the NQs, again, I'm being patient. Something that I've been working on as well as of recent is trying to just wait for the setup to come in. Maybe kind of get involved, kind of pinging the action there. Is it ready yet? Maybe not yet. Here with this short, I get out quite quickly when it's like, all right, well, it's not ready for me just yet. But if it's going to break this, if and when it does, I will get involved with the Apple there. Dell still pushing, and GME almost at 25, only about 20 pennies away from that 25 mark. So maybe I should be pulling up the tape on this trade here just to see what GME has in store for us at that 25 level. So we can take a look at it together here on GME. So let me pull that. Sean is saying his newest position is short Tesla.
I just got short Tesla.
Okay, nice. Dara, short Tesla as well.
176.93. 180 or 177, 180. 177.
What's your price?
177.25. 177.20.
Okay, all right. Nice.
Yeah, shout out. Sorry to cut you off there. I apologize.
No, you're good.
Got distracted by the short Tesla. But yeah, this Tesla short I took because I am still long the Qs. I do want to acknowledge the kind of potential hypocrisy of taking Tesla short while I'm short the Qs. I want to see what we do at 20s. I like that Sean kind of said that was his entry point because that's where I want to see what we do here. Took a small position, but I got involved because I was watching to see what we did here. That was definitely an area of support earlier. I was like, hey, this could be resistance. Then we get what I can only describe as a topping tail candle. And then we go down. I initially wanted 177.99s, realized I wasn't going to get it. I was like, okay, Dara, take your 93s. I think Tesla's probably going to be like a Dara get out now. So that's fine, but you got to take advantage of the opportunities. I also like that we did just have a Scotia rejection here at 177.20s. Also, I counter shorted AMD at the same time. I noticed that we did have that support earlier at 172.20. So I said if we fail that even a little bit, I want to try the short. I was going to take it into 30s. We got up to 27s. We dropped. I said, great. Shout out to Joanna Brewster. I can do names, right? Joanna Brewster saying that, just shout out to myself for, verbal typos earlier, but good times. I got involved in the short because I did, I know you mentioned it might have fallen off there, and I did like that. I think at least temporarily that could be a move down. I think the more that we fail this 172.20 as we just did again, the more confidence I have that this could fall a little bit lower highs on AMD.
Yeah, GME's still going there. 25.30s coming in, so we are very close to that 26 mark that I was talking about earlier. A bit of a bounce level there. So yeah, if it kind of breaks, we've only got a bit of air up into the next level here at that 26. We can see that selling came in pretty aggressively with that volume in and around off of this 30 mark. So yeah, GME kind of pushing right there. Let's take a look at the weekly here just to see what we are up against. Again, that 64 getting slammed down last week. We know what happened with Roaring Kitty kind of coming out with the tweet, and we got a strong little push up into a double top of 80s in the pre-market and a nice little flush off of that. Oh boy, was that a bit of a trade on some of these meme names here. Now I know that along with GME and Friends definitely moving as well with AMC. So let's take a quick look at AMC, not AMD. AMD still going, wow, nice. AMC. So yeah, okay. So we know that $5 mark has been quite interesting over the past week or so. AMC still hasn't really gone past some of its highs, so a little different than what GME is doing. But again, I think this ticker trades a little bit more volume, so it might have some more chop and churn along the way to get past before it can kind of break through some of these levels here. You can see a lot more consolidations and a lot more chops along the way on the flush. But again, GME distinctly different, where when and if some of these levels break, it has a clean cut flush into these 20s. So yeah, there it goes. 25 is 60s coming in on GME. So when will it stop? I have no idea. But I am kind of watching this trade here. Look at that expanding volume. We talk about that expanding volume going into a breakout, and this is a perfect example there of continuation with that expanding volume coming into that 2430s right there, over a point in the money. And again, Sean being over 3 points in the money right there on GME. What is the ATR on GME is the question that I'm asking right now. So let's take a quick look. 5.5 points almost on GME being the ATR. So it has not done an ATR just yet, but if we do take a test of, yes, the dollar club, Sean in triple dollar clubs right now, almost pushing into 4. He's already at that 4. Yeah, you said 22s, right? So, 2150. Okay, so yeah, definitely 4 points in the money on GME, Sean. Great trade off of some of these lows there. Consolidation breakout and a full-on V-shape on the day on GME. Again, memes running, memes still hot, cannot stop. I wonder if Roaring Kitty is tweeting anything as of right now. Maybe I should check the Twitter.
Over there, but yeah, right now. Shout out, I heard Sean saying Tesla, and I will also echo that and say Tesla, and I'll also say Yesla. This has been a fun short. Also, I'm even more surprised that I can exist in this short and also be long the Qs, and I'm not finding a huge conflict of interest in terms of like, obviously just like the positions, you know what I mean? Because I was really worried. I've been long the Qs actually for the better part of the morning, which is not something I normally do. Now though, Tesla's trying to be like, oh, Adara, you thought you could get away with that? Like, I don't think so. I'm like, okay. I want to see what we do here at 20s because we rejected those 20s harshly
26
earlier. So let's see what happens here. 26 on GME?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Straight up.
That's nuts.
Literally straight up.
That is crazy. I'm also going to add to this Tesla position a little bit. Not a huge amount of shares, but I didn't have a huge position to begin with. And I do like this 177.10s level that we keep rejecting. Again, I'm still going to have the same, like if we break above 20s, I'll get out. I'm aware that this position is becoming increasingly risky, but I think if you believe in something, you do owe it to yourself to commit to it. Also, GME. Is the GameStop ever going to stop? Thank you so much, Sean, for the kind words as well in the chat, as well as a shout out to the Market Recap Show, which we do. And we do that every evening that the markets are open, not on Sundays or weekends, 4 to 4:30. How many dollar clubs is that right now? $5 club for GME there for Sean. Great look. Tesla now kind of dancing above this area. This is going to make me sweat just a little bit, but I still do like that 177.20. Are you still looking at GME?
Yeah, I'm still watching it right here. Again, full disclosure, I did kind of borrow some shorts in the morning, looking for that extension move. And again, I would be on the other side of the trade of Sean, but again, I got to wait for this move to kind of slow down and really look distinctly different here. Don't want to step in front of a freight train here as it pushes up. Again, I said there's only air till 26s, and it goes right to 26, 26.30, 26 halves right there. So as of right now, just holding that 26. So it could definitely go a little bit more. Again, expanding volume there, going into some of these levels. Definitely people are sitting short on this thing. I don't know what the option chains are looking like as of right now, but definitely there's a party going on for sure in the options market here. I'm looking at a 5-minute as well. Prior bars have not been broken since about 11:35, where we got a strong little candle right there. Again, breaking through this pre-market high as well. So 2430s was that level, and we did push quite extensively off of that. Look at that volume that comes in just back to back, increasing volume candles, RVol pushing just above 3 as of right now. So I am waiting for a little bit of change in behavior, but again, don't want to get involved. Again, just how they say, you don't want to try to catch a falling knife. You don't want to try to catch a flying rocket as well. Kind of, you don't know when that. I don't know. Maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Like the AMC rocket?
Yeah, the AMC rocket, GME rocket. These rockets are definitely flying. Look at that, 26.30. So yeah, I was like, all right, well, 26 halves coming in, 27s. What's the next stop? Let's take a quick look at the chart. on GME and see what the next support or resistance level might be. Like I said, this selling started off quite aggressively. If we just look left here, in and around that 30 level, right? So we were making lower lows again during the day, in the pre-market session, in the after-hour session there as well. Nice little downtrend here. Kind of broke above that on the 20 hold, consolidated. Can't really get back below 17, and we are pushing for some fresh highs here as of right now. So let's see where this volume takes us. GME quite strong on the day. Are you guys involved? Jerlu is saying, talk to me nice, GME. Oh yeah, talking real nice on that GME push. 26 halves is the high as of right now. Flushing, Sean is out, he is saying, and out at a nice time as we are starting to look a little distinctly different. People smashing the bids right there on GME back through that 26. So is this the backside? Can we see a little bit of a pullback? I have no idea, but I'll be waiting, watching, seeing, being patient for the next trade. What is the next trade for you guys? What are you waiting for?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was such a great send off there, or not send off, transition words. I'm gonna go to the TQs. We initially held those 85s really, really well. The fact that we can't now, I don't necessarily love. So you know what? We're gonna. I don't know. Like I said, I really want to see us break below 80, so I think I do owe it to myself to stay in this a little bit. We are having some wicks that make me go, huh? But I don't have a definitive reason to leave, like I said, until we break below 80s. That was really the level I'm interested in, and I'm pretty sure TQs are going to give me that in a moment anyway, so let's see what we do. Go down to Tesla. I think a lot of that was just my initial entry was not the best. I got involved 177. You know, nothing compared to, shout out to Sean there in that like 177.20 area, which is a great entry area for that short for TSLA. So nice look there. I did get pushed out, but I'm happy I didn't panic sell. I'm also happy I added because you learn a lot from just living in the trade. I have learned more from every trade that I've toughed it out in, as long as I liked the position, mind you, and I wasn't just like, you know, adding in out of fear or something. I've learned more from those trades than I have from panic selling. Because what do you learn from panic selling? You learn that you were scared and you were looking for like a quick out. So I think I'm trying to find ways to learn more from every trade, even if every trade is not profitable. I am down in the day, but and I know this is a cliche, I am always bullish positivity. I'm bullish learning. I'm bullish next trades. I'm bullish new opportunities. Tesla pushing even higher here. This could be kind of interesting. I don't really have a huge read in this stock right now, though, unless we reject 177.60s, which it looks like we're bouncing around right now. Look at that. Previous high in the pre. I think this could get a little bit spicy here for Tesla. I also like the concept of a SPY short, which I realize is kind of ironic because I just got out of that. TQ was long, but I do like that 530 area. This is an area I know as well. Shout out to Kyle Burdett that I know you were looking at. We are seeing these higher highs and higher lows a little. No, we're not even saying higher highs. We're seeing higher lows, but we cannot get above 530 decisively on anything other than a wick basis. So that 529 mid 90s is kind of interesting to me. I tried to get involved in the short and it didn't work out. So all eyes on the prize. TQ dipping down, and you are seeing where the pardon. But we're gonna have to wait and see how the game will go because now we have Neil and his lesson of the day.
Welcome, your lesson of the day. I actually tease that there's always going to be something that moves that day or that we learn that day or sets up that day, and I'm not going to change from that today. So GameStop's loosely going to be the theme here, but it has to do with, hey, what do you do when you get that roundy face setup? And we talk about this all the time. Everybody knows what a smiley face looks like, or rounded face, or whatever it might be. What does it mean? Why do we like it? Ultimately, it's a positive look on a weak stock trending. So GameStop was the perfect example of a stock that a lot of people wanted to be long today because of the gap up. On Friday, you would have seen in the aftermarket show, like 5 minutes after market close, there was the offering. It gapped higher. It then held the gap this morning. So lots of excitement around GME and a possible short squeeze again. But it just couldn't break out the top. And so when you have a failure for a squeeze name to take out tops, oftentimes there's people taking profit at the open, and that's exactly what we got. So there's only one level that I was interested in for the dip buy, was the $21 level. And you're trending down in, but we're waiting for it to make a base and a wick bottom, which I got wicked out of. But you'll notice here, I take the long the first time it holds 21, but then I don't get back in when it's at the 21 level. And the reason is it's still trending down with lower lows. I'd rather look at the smiley face. Like have it do this, lower lows, into the bottom at 21, and then when it starts rounding and puts in the higher low, then look for the long. So we wait for it to put in that higher low, and that's your rounded bottom. So there's lots of different ways you can look at catching that low. I find if the morning has shown you a trend into the downside, especially in that first 30 minutes, and there wasn't the quick bounce at the open or during the opening range, then you're looking for a little bit more calm on the other side, which is that higher low setup. It's always good when it hits. The other thing that I want to consider here when you get this kind of a dip buy is the rounded bottom. It's going to be the smiley face, but that means there's going to be an upper lip here. And at the open, that top was at 22.5. You're going to notice I'm in here long again at 22.5. So you get your nice little rounded face, but when it consolidates and breaks out, that's a re-entry into the trade. Because I'm respecting the fact that you have a consolidation underneath. So you look at this level in here, like that 21.5, you have a consolidation to the downside. When it breaks out, I'm willing to get out of that trade, look for the reload at the bottom of the channel. If I don't get it, it's holding above that price, go into the long again. The beauty of being able to actively trade, especially at real trading, is you don't have to just sit around in the one trade. You can take it another time if that's your strategy. So if we're trading station to station, we get back in at the 22.5. When it breaks out that rounded bottom, I think there was one miss. I'm going to show you where I missed an opportunity. That's the high of the day breakout. So there was one more long, because at this point you're looking trend up, right? It's shown you the wipeout bottom, trapping shorts, shorts here of one, but trapping shorts here, trapping shorts there, trapping shorts essentially everywhere. But they probably trapped some shorts at 22.5 as well, looking for the VWAP pullback. That did set it up for a high of the day break. At this point, when you get the rounded bottom and you trend it to the upside, you're looking from multiple places to get in long. So this little dip into 24 should have been better than this consolidation into 24.5. When you look at something like this, and you have to be delicate when you're looking for a rounded bottom, it is going to be a stock that's trending down. I'll give you an example where I probably got anchored to the actual dip price instead of looking for the rounded bottom setup, and that's going to be Alibaba. Baba bounced off $80. You can see here I only took the trade at the $80 level that I liked. Great, that's fine. But it does set you up with something else. There's your lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Then it finally hits the bottom at 80, which is a level we're expecting. You then get the higher low. This is where it holds on to that opening range bottom at 10.25, but not once, twice. So now you've got a series of higher lows. There's your rounded bottom. I would like this next time. This is where I should be getting an entry. If I would trail this to 80.20, why not add to it at 80.30 here? Give it the 10 cents, pop into VWAP, and then you've got your rounded bottom trend. So there's lots of ways to try to dip buy. A lot of times you'll have a level in the sand that you absolutely love, and you can be catching that falling knife because that's your level, like the 80 level was for me in Alibaba, or maybe the 21 was for a lot of people on GameStop. What you can also look for is when you get those rounded bottoms with those lower highs, then hold that higher low. Look for an entry off of that. It gives you confirmation. Maybe you'll have a little bit more confidence in the trade, but it's just another arrow in your quiver when trying to dip buy a stock that you like. Sometimes you're just going to sit and say, this is my level, I'm taking the fill. There's other moments where it's trending so much to the downside when you're looking long that you want to see an extra confluence in there. And whichever one you happen to choose, just make sure you backtest your strategies, make sure that it fits your risk parameters. But I think that rounded bottom, it's not just something you can look at on a daily chart to find a trend reversal. I think when you're looking at the intraday, it'll give you some setups as well. GameStop was a good example of it today. Alibaba gave you a little bit. You can even look at Tesla. Tesla gave you an example of that as well. So shout out to everybody that bought some of these dips in the market. They were all great today. Just a matter of finding the setup that works for you. And I like that smiley face to give you just one more. That's your lesson of the day. Buy that smiley face if you like them. Joining the trend is always good, but if you can catch bottoms, even better.
All right, thank you, Neil. Yeah.
Shout out to that lesson too. Like, just buy the smiley face, get involved, see what you like. I think that's definitely a great lesson. I know you have a trade that you maybe want to talk about. Are you still? Yeah,
I'm still in there. Yeah. I'm kind of just watching it here, giving it some space. Again, trying to see if this is the backside of the move here on the GME. It is kind of holding trend, so I do have to kind of stay a little nimble there. But I did try a shot at it here into that 26 level. We were talking about that 26 being in and around that area, that potential stop right there. And then we can see that strong flush that did come in, but we did hold that 25 as of right now. Adam saying, love the shades, Neil. Thank you for the super chat there. Yeah, Neil's got some pretty cool shades there with the orange tinge. Those are real nice.
They're great.
But yeah, no, this GME kind of pushing right back up. Let's see what we got in store here. Apple still holding in and around its kind of VWAP, so not really ready just yet. But again, if people are kind of holding on to that trade, it is coming in and around that time where it may be starting to time out for those players as we've been going sideways into this downtrend for quite a while here. So if I just take a quick measurement here, so over 2.5 hours, we've been consolidating sideways on Apple. So maybe I am looking for the participants one way or another to start kind of piecing off of that move, whether they be shorts, whether they be longs. I'll stay kind of on watch for that. Again, futures haven't necessarily made a distinct move there. We're still kind of chopping in this range here, and then 520s, 530s on the ES as well. So 18.9 kind of being interesting. We did attempt to push that 19K mark last week, and we did get a little bit above it, but we did pull back as well quite distinctly. Okay, so we are coming back down in off of this 120, that 26 mark here. Where is my chart? So okay, I do have to keep a close eye on this one and potentially look for places to add onto this trade. Aura Alpha saying, Obi, why not join the trend? Oh boy, that's something I'm kind of, I guess I'm working on. Not too great with joining trends, but again, it is a pretty nice trade, trading with the trend. But I do like my reversions. I find that I tend to do a little bit better with the reversions. I do have a little bit more data for my reversion trade as well. So again, it's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your playbook aligns with, whatever your personality kind of aligns with. And I do like a little bit more of the reversion. Long or short, doesn't matter, right? If something is a little overextended and starts to kind of show some sign of weakness, I do like to get involved there for the backside trade. Again, I like it as well because, again, you have fresh players that may be potentially offside, and that is who we are playing against in a sense, right? So that's what I'm kind of looking for whenever I'm looking for that reversion trade. Let us know what you guys are trading. Let's go. Caught that dip on NVIDIA, says Rivian Millionaire. Oh boy. Okay, so I guess you made some good trades on the RIVN. Let's take a quick look at Rivian here, see what that's up to. Okay, so right back above that $10 level. I got a couple lines here as well. So nice little 1074 high from last week. Last week, is this what was this? This is previous Wednesday. So okay, so 1074 high from last week. We are pushing right back up. You know that EVs kind of have been on watch as of late with a bunch of news coming out all over the place. So $10 level holds on Rivian, and we are pushing back up again today, being strong on the day. We are holding that VWAP as well. Nice little hold of that 10 halves as well on Rivian, pushing fresh highs on the day, which reminds me, what is our friend Tesla doing right now? We know that it was doing a bit of a V-shaped move there earlier. Did we get past it? We did get past this opening price here. What is the opening price, you may ask? This is a 15-minute, yeah, so opening price was 176.42. So we are trading over a couple points above that mark right now on Tesla. So Tesla quite strong. Maybe that's giving it a bit of a push there on some of these other EV names. Now let's take a quick look at NIO as well. NIO, yeah, a bit of a V shape on NIO. Let's see what Fisker is up to. That's not Fisker, FSR. I'm forgetting what Fisker's ticker is.
FSRN?
Yes, thank you. Oh, right, it trades on, yeah, it trades on the pinks now. Okay, yeah. Never mind. Rivian. Okay, yeah, Rivian very, very strong on the day. So whoever is long and strong on Rivian, congratulations with that trade as of right now. Who is this? Venus asking about how about BA? Yeah, I did have Boeing on watch, and Boeing is kind of strong trend to the downside. We were talking about reversions earlier, reverted that strong move off of the open and pretty much V-shaped to the downside, now making fresh lows on Boeing, kind of recovering back to some of those closing prices from last week on the Boeing company. So again, reversion trade gone for me. But again, if you're taking the trend there, it is breaking some fresh lows as of right now. Apple as well, potentially breaking that low. There goes the NQs to the downside. Can we get a test of that 18.9? I see that you are short both CELH and AMD. How is that going for you?
Yeah, I'm short 2 NQ names, which is why I was like whooping there. I do want to shout out Joseph for pointing out Celsius. This was one that I traded, I don't want to say aggressively, but I was trading it like a decent amount off of earnings. That was a fun time. We had some W's, we had some L's, and I learned a lot from Celsius as well. But I want, turning up couple degrees higher here. Because I did want to get involved in this name. Yeah, so I really want to shout out Joseph for that, saying that your old friend Celsius to the downside. And I mean, yeah, like this is a massive move down. I am cognizant of that double bottom, but I'm also cognizant of these lower highs. I built to the position because I initially wanted the 79.50 entry, realized I might not get it, started the position at 79.30s with a plan to add at 79.50, so that went out without a hitch, which was nice. If we break above 79.80s, that's where I'm going to get out. I do have a planned beak-wetter set here, 79s, so that would be great if I'm able to get that. Of course, I do want to see that 78.70. That could be pretty sweet. But I'm noticing for whatever reason, 79.20 is kind of a level. I don't want to get out that early because that would, it'd be a cool 10-penny winner for part of my position. I'll take it where if I need to. But the point is I want to be, what I've been trying to do today, albeit kind of not even on purpose, it's just kind of how the trades have been, is I'm trying to build in positions. I don't want to get everything intense all at once. I don't want to panic sell. That's what I'm working towards. Win or lose, you want to play the game to the best of your abilities. You want to learn while doing so. That's the goal. AMD 172.40s, that's going to be the area to watch. Look at this rejection here earlier. That's pretty sweet. I do want all the smoke. If we keep rejecting that area, I will stay in this trade. Now, you might also have the very valid concern or question of why did you get short at this at the bottom of this channel? That's kind of was intentionally part of my trade because I realized getting involved at previous support could mean this holds up as support, but we were kind of curving down here. We had that a little bit of weakness in the Qs. I was like, Adara, the other way to play this might just be like what I did with Celsius, building the position, starting at the bottom of the range, and just adding in if you have clear levels you like, which I do in AMD. I added around just shy of 172.20s because that 172.20s was where I had that really quick scalp short earlier because that was a level of resistance, right? So just playing levels you like, flipping, dipping, and ripping, and well, I don't want to rip because I'm in the downside. I'm short, so let's not rip. But yeah, you just want to play trades you like off levels that could work. So that's really what I'm trying to do here. So I want to shout out Kyle Burdett, big Joanna Burdett. Again, apologies for that weird mix up there. Wants a SPY flush. Let's go get low, low, low. Yeah, I mean, this SPY, I also have my eye on a potential SPY short, but I don't want to rush into it. Every time it looks like the SPY, and actually for that matter, the Qs are going to get their little pop up. They're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. And they go to the downside. So I think there are some short opportunities here. It's about finding ones that make sense. Bit of a VWAP bounce here on the S&P 500. Around 80, so that could be one for my own purposes. I'm kind of interested in scalping and playing, but there has been certainly some interesting levels here. As we head into the lesson, how goes GME?
It's still kind of consolidating here above 25. We did break the trend just a tad bit there, but again, I think it might need some more time. Volume has been dropping off a little bit there, so I do kind of like that. Let's see what we do with 25. Again, 25 being a bit of a psychological level as well, bit of an interesting level, so participants potentially coming in, but I don't see much size there. I was talking to Sean about this earlier as well. When we did get through that 25 on the initial push, there was not really too much size as well, so kind of just went through it just straight like butter, and then coming right back in. I'm not seeing too much size at that 25 level here. So let's see what we do with that consolidation. VWAP is at 23.47 here. You can see that red line right here is at the VWAP. Let's see if we can kind of come back down onto that pre-market high, 24.30s, right? 24.30s. Let's see if that resistance turns into support, or does that mean nothing and we are kind of done with the move here, a little bit washed up, and the game has stopped on this name here for now. To the long side, again, the game's always running as, again, it's always an exchange between longs and shorts and longs. But let's see what we got in store here on the GME. Again, we did drop down on the NQ down towards the 18.9s, and then we kind of bid right back up as well quite aggressively. So it seems like that's kind of keeping trend. I'm watching Apple as well. Apple goes to the low of the range there, in and around that 191 and some change, and then look at that, it's catching a bit of a bid. So not really a distinct break in my opinion as of right now. Still chopping and churning in terms of the consolidation that we've been having for over 2.5 hours. Again, if it's going to continue to not make a distinct move one way or another, again, I was thinking about a potential continuation short here because I did see the 93 slam and then 92 attempt slammed again, and then we weren't really getting through VWAP, so maybe these entries here were pretty nice, but again, I didn't go for it twice there for the push down for the break of trend to the downside. So again, might have been a miss on my part, but nothing too distinct. Doesn't really necessarily set up with either the price action or the reversion playbook that I am kind of working on as of right now. So I'm not really going to get involved as of yet. But let us know in the chat what you guys are trading as of right now, and we will take a look at him. Innova is saying HIMS to $20. So let's see what HIMS is up to. We know that.
Been nuts lately.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Wow, look at that one. Straight to the upside. No real relief. We have a bit of a pullback, but again, reclaims and starts making fresh highs as of right now. This is a 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at it on the 5. You can see it only holds VWAP in the morning session and then breaks out of that opening range high and then can't stop, won't stop all the way to 19s as of right now. HIM's making some fresh highs. Actually, let's take a quick look at a higher time frame. I want to take a look at the hourly here. We know that it had a strong move last week. And oh boy, we're only about a point away from this one. What is the market cap? How much dollar volume is this thing doing as of right now? So $19, only about 10 million. Okay, all right, that's not too bad. Market cap of 4 billion. That's not too bad there. But again, very, very strong to the upside, pushing back into this day, which had some strong volume and pushed a high of $20 there. And yeah, you might not be wrong. If it continues to kind of push, that $20 level might be well within the stars there for him and her.
Yeah, hopefully both him and her is getting that move to the upside. No, all jokes aside, nice look on that one. Yeah, we are going to get the lesson set up. I do want to talk about those trades. Celsius, I was really proud of. I said I wanted that 78.70s, and I'm so happy I was able to get that. So I got out part of the position exactly as planned, 79s. Another 40% of the position out here at 78.70s. Then we bounced. So I had a tiny piece for the dream in case we had to break lower. We didn't. I was able to get that right out at 79s. Please just punch on that. No complaints. AMD, I don't even know what I really should have just been trying to take this short at the clear resistance level and taking it short instead of taking it short into the resistance level. So that was a decision that I made, but it's all good. I think if taking this short at 172.40s might have been the play. Right now, though, we are doing that doji, so it looks like this could actually be flipping. I'm going to stay, actually, surprising myself, I'm going to actually stay in this Tesla short as we head into the lesson of the day. I'm just going to get everything set up for myself on my side chart. So I have eyes on Tesla. It's a really small position. I just, kind of want to see here what we do at 177s. I did like that we were bouncing off the 90 MA. I like that bottoming tail candle. There were things that I liked, so I thought, why not try it? And that's what we're going to do. And as I say that, I actually maybe don't want to get involved in the sell-off. Well, okay, we're going to say. I'm having clearly conflicting emotions. So let's take a look at, oh my gosh, what am I doing to this lesson? There we go. I'm just going to sell this Tesla, I've decided, because apparently I'm not decisive enough to keep the position, so why would I? And let's get involved with our lesson of the day. So shout out to that. We are talking about the futures, and I mean, the futures have certainly been interesting today. The SPY and the NASDAQ both doing some really interesting chop and churn related things. So I think it could be a really interesting day to speak about them and just kind of give an intro to futures. And also, as I realized that, wow, I should have really started this at the start of the PowerPoint. So here we are, intro to. Yeah, oh, sorry, did I say I was short Tesla? I meant to say I was long Tesla briefly. That was my bad. That was a mental typo, or a verbal typo, if you will, because I was short like everything else today, but I was long Tesla. So that was my bad on that. So thank you guys for mentioning that, because that was an accident. But you know what's not an accident? Trading futures contracts. Or it shouldn't be. So we're going to be talking about futures this week, and we're going to start with an overview of some major concepts and some major contracts. So what is a futures contract? Right, we're going to get right back to the basics there. Shout out to Christina Aguilera. So futures contract is basically a standardized agreement to buy and sell an asset at a future date and price. And it's traded on exchanges, and they can actually be for commodities, financial instruments, etc. Which is interesting because, like Obi was saying earlier as well, he was mentioning something that I'd heard in the past. It's like some of these contracts you actually do have to get rid of, or you have to take possession of whatever the thing is. So if it's like a cattle, and you've got like cattle's in the line or whatever, you have to deal with that. So that's kind of an interesting.
Better find some storage real quick.
Yeah, gotta deal with your cattle shipment. But yeah, I think that's kind of interesting, and it definitely shows futures contracts. Like the contract element is not just a fancy word for show. It is inherently part of the whole ordeal, which I think is kind of interesting here. So let's talk about some of the key concepts involved, which include leverage, right? So leverage will allow traders to control a larger position with a relatively small amount of capital, which magnifies potential gains. However, it is a double-edged sword. It can also intensify potential losses. What about margin? So margin is basically the collateral that is required to open and maintain a future position. Initial margin is what you need to open a position, but you do need to maintain your margin in order to keep the position open, or else, you know, a margin call may be in your future. Futures, accidental pun, yeah. And no one wants that. So definitely be cognizant of your margin. And
you ever get a margin call? No? Oh, okay.
But yeah, so margin calls are not definitely something to be aware of here.
Gotten a couple emails.
Pardon?
I've had a couple emails. No, I was telling Sean,
have
you ever gotten a margin call before? And I was like, yeah, I don't know about a call, but I've gotten a couple emails before. But, you know,
margin
fun
emails,
times.
that's
fun
interesting time, yeah.
I don't know if anybody really calls anymore, but they're like, yeah, you got to deposit a little bit of money in your account before a certain time. Yeah,
this is a good question from Eclectic Passions. That can be the main difference with options. Honestly, not something that I am as aware of. It's something I want to look more into, the difference between futures options and actual like futures day trading. I would assume as well the length of time could be different too, right? Because I know there have been some people in the chat in the past as well, like trading Qs or Qs options or like S&P 500 options. So I think there are different ways to do that. That's something I want to look into. So thank you very much for bringing that up. So I think that is yeah, I think that's something I definitely want to research, so I really appreciate that note, because we're always trying to think about, like, what are people going to learn from? What do people want to know about here in the chat? So really appreciate that, and I will have to look into that. But what about some specific futures? Which, again, I want to shout out Obi for putting these notes together. Words, English. So S&P 500, or the E-mini, which is the ES, this represents a portion of the S&P 500 index, and that actually makes it a very popular choice if you want some large cap exposures, because all your large cap pals are going to be up in there in the S&P 500. You know, you got Lululemon, you've got Airbnb. I don't know why I'm using like recent entries and not like old staples, but you've got your basics. You've got Coke, you've got Pepsi, you've got Apple. The point is, there's a lot of big names in the S&P 500. And each tick in the ES is going to be worth $12.50 with a minimum price fluctuation of 20.25 index points. So, for example, if the index is at 4,000, an ES contract would be worth $250,000. I think that's a nice look. Also, the NQ, or the E-mini NASDAQ 100, let's talk about that as an overview. So this tracks the NASDAQ 100 index, which is heavily weighted towards tech stocks, so your Mag 7, those guys for sure. And each tick is going to be worth $5 with a minimum price fluctuation of 0.25 index points. So if the index is at 13,000, one NQ contract would be worth $260,000. So I think that it's kind of a quick overview there. But here are some other futures to talk about. Crude oil futures This is one of the most heavily traded futures, actually was initially doing pretty well today as well, so shout out to CL. This will provide you with a direct way to trade the global oil market, and each contract represents about 1,000 barrels of oil. What about gold? I mean, you know, why not talk about gold here? GC, this one is used to hedge against inflation and currency fluctuations, and each contract will represent 100 troy ounces of gold. And some agricultural futures as well, you know, as someone who is from a very large agriculture capital of Canada, you gotta shout out those agricultural futures. And some of the agricultural futures include, and there's a variety. They include corn or ZC, this is 5,000 bushels of corn per contract. Soybeans or ZS, which is also 5,000 bushels per contract. And last but not least, cocoa, which I mean has been having, to put it lightly, a pretty good run as of late. Cocoa, or 10 metric tons of cocoa per contract. So nice look there. What about some basic strategies? I mean, and these are maybe like a little bit self-explanatory, but it's worth noting how they differ when you're trading futures. You've got day trading, which of course can be buying and selling contracts within the same day to take advantage of short-term price movements. Another shout out here to Eclectic Passion saying that they understand that you can trade futures outside of market hours. I want to take a look at that with regards to options. That's something I'm definitely going to look up in between lessons here. So thank you for bringing that up, because of course we always want to make sure that we have the whole scope of everything. So I'm going to take a look at that. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. What about swing trading? Shout out to the NOS boss. So swing trading, of course, when you hold positions for several days to several weeks, and you do want to take advantage of those longer term price movements. However, there are of course going to be some interesting considerations as well with regards to the futures and swing trading, because you could have these massive moves intraday. Imagine the moves you can have with swing trading. I'm sure it's going to be a different risk related element, right? So I think that could certainly be something of note. What about hedging? This can be used to lock in prices and manage risks by producers and consumers. So hedging your bets, something you hear about a lot, and hedging is certainly something to keep in mind with regards to these futures trading. But what about some other tips to talk about here? Risk management. You'll always want to consider your stop loss orders to protect yourself against significant losses and diversify your trades. So you have not just like all your eggs in one basket, shout out to Sharif, but you've got a couple eggs there, a couple eggs here, a couple eggs over there, right? You want to spread everything out, because that can help with risk management as well. So like, you know, as this is not a futures example. Actually, no, this is a futures example. So, you know, looking at the Qs and the S&P 500, these are kind of moving similarly, right? So it's like if you're seeing that, maybe you want to take them both the same direction to diversify. But if you're seeing kind of different actions in one, maybe you short one, go long the other. Not advice, just like, you know, examples of what diversification could look like in the futures. Also, more research. I mean, what's wrong with research over here? We love research on this desk. You might want to consider some websites like Investopedia, which was a huge research I found when I started delving into the wonderful world of markets. Also, the CME Group website can be great as well, just for more info. Or you could check out previous How to Trade weeks on futures trading, which is, you know, always nice and a good time. Also, there is, I'm going to have to look into that with regards to the futures and options trading. So thank you, Eclectic Passions, for bringing that out. Also, I was long Tesla. I realized I kept saying I'm short Tesla. I was long Tesla, but now I feel like short Tesla might be the vibe, because we did have that pretty decisive failure of that area we were trying to cling to. Tesla short 177, might have to get back in that saddle. But you are in a pretty notable short here, and it is GME.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like kind of staring at it. It's shopping around that 25 mark as of right now. Again, I expect it to kind of chop around this level. We talk about it being a little interesting level as well. So the volume has kind of died off as of right now. So I'm just waiting and seeing what we're going to do going on from here. So we did pull back distinctly off of some of those highs there, but 25, the chop and churn is quite aggressive on both ways, both the selling and the buying. So just kind of waiting on that one. Apple's still kind of holding on to its kind of range there as of right now, but I don't have too much going on. Again, GME, I haven't traded in quite a while there. I didn't really take part in it last week either when it was going crazy, but again, I do like getting involved in the backside of moves. Again, it did quite a significant move last week already. So I'm just looking for the potential, you know, whatever residual pops that we may have, maybe looking for the failure to follow through of some of them. But again, I could very well be wrong on the trade and not necessarily this doesn't necessarily have to be the backside, right? I think we may just be starting as well, who knows? But as of today, as of right now, it is kind of chopping around this 25 mark. We did a nice acceleration to that 26 half level that we talked about earlier, and I'm just watching this 25 level hold as of right now. But yeah, let us know what you guys are trading. Another interesting, like futures markets as well. I'm still kind of learning about them as well. An interesting market. Did you know there are orange juice futures?
Yes.
Yeah, there's apparently that's a pretty big thing. That was like the orange juice, the OJ pits, as they were called. I was watching a couple of documentaries for the CME and stuff. But yeah, orange juice pits. There's also I think there's olive oil. Olive oil futures were going crazy over the past year. If you guys want to pull up the chart on olive oil futures, you can see that that's been pretty that had a pretty wild move as well. Again, I don't know how liquid those markets are, but definitely, again, just I guess supply and demand. When the markets move, the markets definitely catch a strong move in the futures there. But as of right now, just chopping and churning around some of these levels here. Nothing really has changed in terms of the past hour or a couple hours here on the futures, as we are just holding some of the same levels as earlier here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of top insured, which as someone who likes ranges, I have no problem with, so I'm trying to get involved. Also, I want to address the Tesla situation, and it's not, I made it sound so fancy, it's not fancy. I just know that I was short, and then I got out. That was not a planned exit that I was trying to add, and then I pressed the wrong button. So that's a good sign that I need some more caffeine, so we're gonna step on that. And also, just looking at this Tesla here, I like this short, as I said, because I think any time that we have what looks like it's building to be a support resistance flip and we don't really have that materialize, that's when I want to get involved in the short. I am watching to see what we do at 40s, because 40s was definitely an area of liftoff for Tesla earlier, which I know because I was in the short previous. But it's like if you have an idea you like, also shout out to Sean, because I know initially in that Tesla short he was involved at 177.20s. So that's an area I definitely want to, I'm happy I was able to get involved in. I actually ended up getting a better price through the fat finger moment. So as I sometimes say, you know, fat fingers can save lives. Obviously not something I'm happy to do, but did end up working out because I do think that this entry point is maybe a little bit better. I am very cognizant of that bullish looking candle here to the downside, but I think, you know, the fact that we're still having this chop and churn is to me a sign that I do like the look of the short for the time being. So let's see what happens there. What else? AMD, people keep mentioning. Yeah, I mean, AMD, wow. I wish I had words. This is a crazy look. We did have that interesting 172.40 area that we initially were kind of seeing some rejection at, and then we actually get a higher low. And then AMD's like, yeah, time for blast off to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 5-minute green candles. The whole time we were talking about the futures there, AMD's like, yeah, my future is positive. So AMD up a cool 4+ % right now, struggling a little bit above this 173, but nice look. Q's getting rangy, which I mean is something I'm never going to complain about. Look at this. Actually, let's just pull up the Q's and not the TQs. Look at this look here that we're seeing, these 459s here, not once but twice, pushing into that area. SPY is getting something pretty similar, although what I think is interesting with the S&P 500 and this little look is that we are getting that build up, that back and forth, that push and pull. I would say the SPYs look a little bit weaker, and also the SPYs are getting that bounce off view up. Playing this short into VWAP is not something I dislike right now. Clearly, I'm short biased today, which has not always been the AMD, but I think there have been, like, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong if you see short opportunities with taking them. Speaking of which, Celsius got another couple degrees turned to the downside over here, getting some energy in that name. This name also brought some energy to my P&L, so I was pretty pleased as punch with that. Shout out to Joseph as well for shouting this one out for me. But yeah, I mean, if we keep bouncing off 78, 70s, this could be an area. I just think, though, with the viciousness of that candle to the downside, Celsius could be looking for a flat bottom break, in which case I don't want to take this long, but I have no qualms getting short at the top of this range. So keeping an eye on that. Please just punch with the Tesla so far. Let's see if that Cybertruck can get a little extra push in its step to the downside.
Yeah, AMD, we were just talking about AMD being super, super strong right now with Sean. Yeah, that move is quite extensive. Again, can't really. We broke past that 73. What was that? 73, 18 or 13. What was the high on that candle there? 73.13 being the high of that candle on AMD. We were talking about that being last week's high, and yeah, we are pushing right past that. So quite some strength. Again, if we're talking about relatively short-term players, anybody and everybody who got short on this 173 is a little underwater as we trade a little bit higher here above that 173 mark. You can see on the hourly a little bit of a 3-bar happening on the hourly with a flat top. So with about 15 minutes left to go on this hour to finish, this thing I guess still has potentially more room to go if it's going to be a little symmetrical there. You can see the NQ ripping up to the upside here. So nice little consolidation hold. Let's see if this 18,940 holds as well. We saw the wick happen there, wicking off the 18.9 as well. So pretty much sideways, not doing too much. But again, it is definitely ranging. Shout out to Dara. It is a range trade on the NQs as of right now. We shall see. Again, are you in anything that's ranging? I know you were involved in the TQs earlier.
Celsius has been a
Celsius,
range.
okay.
Has been a range.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I like the range trading as well, but again, I've been kind of working, that kind of has to do with mean reversion trading as well, right? Because it's kind of, it keeps reverting if there's like a mean price and it kind of reverts from both sides. So you can play it either way for a range trade, but I do like that. I haven't seen a very nice, beautiful range for a while there, but again, I haven't been doing as much charting. That's on me. I got to do a little bit more charting there and maybe find some names there. It's funny, when I was trading at home, I would go through like, I think it was over like 1,500 tickers every weekend, just over a list that I kind of compiled over the years. But as of late, I only have like this one list that's mainly composed of the major constituents of the markets that has like maybe like 100, 150 tickers. Those are the only ones I really take a look at, and then I do like scans. But I'm sure if I ran through the full list, I'm sure I would be able to find something that is following some sort of pattern. Again, there's more than 5,000, 6,000 tickers in the market. Shout out to Wilshire 5000 Index. I like that one as well. For those of you who know, you know. But yeah, kind of pushing highs on all these indices as well. Great times that we are living in, indeed. Especially for some of the long-term swing trading opportunities as well. Shout out to Sean. He's always talking about how you know we're still young right now. We should be buying up some of these names as they keep on making fresh highs. And something I recently learned was on average, the spider makes about 16 all-time highs every year. Right?
Really?
Which makes kind of sense because we kind of maybe not all-time highs, but like fresh highs every year, right? So. Which makes sense because like what is it? It's about 8 to 11%, however you want to look at it, is the average return of the spider, and that would make sense that every year on average we do get some fresh high breaks as well. Is that a real wick on the Apple? It is not. That's just a dark pool right there. All right, GME, let's see if you can come back into VWAP. 2350s is what I'm looking for. 25 couldn't really hold as of right now. We are dumping to the downside. There was a stack of size, which I was talking a little bit, and I didn't really get a chance to punch through that size there. But a stack of size got taken out on the bid, and we proceeded to flush a little bit lower here on GME. So let's see if we can come into fruition on the GME trade. About a point coming in as of right now. Now, these are pre-market highs as well, right? So we were talking about this level being a potential stop right there, and we are coming right into this level 2430s. As of right now, we are trading 2422s. So nice little baton pass that I had with Sean. He was long off of this move. He got out. We started to dump, and I was like, "Huh, interesting." I'm looking for the pullback move. It has gone. It did kind of set up with my mean reversion kind of trade. And let's see what we got in store here. Can we get that VWAP to come in? Are we gonna kind of mess with the average participant at that average VWAP? Volume weighted average price, in and around, what is this on here? 2360s I have on the trading view. What do we have here on the P Pro? I have 2360, so about the same here. So let's see if we can flush down a little bit more, breaking past some of this point. Again, people definitely getting long off of that pre-market break. So for a flush to get lower, those pre-market breakout longs would be underwater after this point, if this point is to break down further. So I'm watching a couple different indicators here, a couple different things. Again, things that players use to trade, seeing if they're offside or not, trading the chart, trading the price action. Hello, GME, what's up?
Yeah, talk to that stock. Tell GME. You tell GME what's
What was
up.
the super chat earlier? Talk nice to me, GME. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, okay, talk nice.
You're like, it's my turn to talk to GME. I like it. Gotta show, be a little bit assertive with these stocks sometimes. You know what I mean? They're running around, they're doing whatever they want. Nah, all jokes aside, shout out to that trade because that is an awesome look there on GME. OB is not
lucky.
letting the game stop.
Oh no, absolutely not.
No. Like, honestly, to quote the title of a very interesting Drake and Future album, what a time to be alive. You know, like, it's just such a crazy market here. Tesla kind of proving this area of, actually, no, we're going to go a little lower. I'm really proud of this trade. I got short initially. I was short 177s, and then I had a little bit of a fat finger oopsie moment, but it worked out okay because I still like the trade, so I got back in at a better entry price, which was 177.20s. Then I added at 177.22s because I noticed we kept having that area. Got out some of this at 177 and change, but I'm going to be getting another piece out here at 176.80s because that was an area that we did have, I would say, some pretty clear support bouncing off VWAP earlier. So it's like, you know what, if I am able to take out a piece there, I mean, I want to see what we did first, but once I noticed we actually were struggling with that area, I said, hey, let's see what we do. The next area of profit taking is going to be somewhere in the range of 176. If we come back to 177 and we say, hi, I want to stay above, then I'm going to have to get out. But if we keep staying below this 177s, I'm going to stay in this position. I have at this point taken out 2/3. Really proud of this. And I'm trying to get a different strategy today, which wasn't on purpose, just kind of ended up being what it is. Having these trades that I'm staying in longer, and I'm also just taking time to build. So instead of saying, like, love you and leave you to, like, so many stocks, my blotter used to be, like, disturbingly full. Now I'm picking a couple stocks with stuff I like and just taking really concentrated positions in said stocks. And I don't know, you know, you have to, I think each strategy is going to work differently each day, but today that has kind of been what's worked for me with this Tesla, with the CELH, which are by far, I think, my best positions, not just P&L wise, though that as well, but in terms of like how I felt in them, how I felt mentally, because I think the mental aspect of live trading, as I've said repeatedly, is the part that I think I did kind of underestimate until you have to do it. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's real, that's different. But yeah, shout out to Tesla, keeping to the downside. But in a very different direction, I want to shout out NVIDIA. Because people were saying, you know, NVIDIA keeps making these new all-time highs. Who would have thought, Obi, at the start of this year, that NVIDIA would be an over $1,100 stock?
I mean,
I have no words. I am speechless. Yeah, Joanna Brewster, we do have that auction coming up at 1 as well. Sorry to cut myself off there a little bit. And that is going to be, I want to say the 5-year? Yes, 5-year note. Right after that, at 105, Fed's Cook is going to be taking the mic. So lots of things to watch out for. We will keep you guys posted. Thank you, Joanna Brewster, for asking that question. But yeah, I mean, NVIDIA is kind of unstoppable. And honestly, the spread for this, Meta, you need to get your life right. Because NVIDIA's spread right now, as like $1,100 plus name, is like maximum 16 pennies.
Wow.
I want to give a round of applause for that spread.
Talk about liquid.
Because like, let's take a look at Meta. I don't want to pick on Meta, but Meta is, I think, the mega cap stock that has generally the most frustrating spread. Right now, it's like 28 pennies. So Meta, try to be more like your friend NVIDIA. That's what, you know what I mean? Try to like have more of that spread, okay? But also, I said, what I was saying earlier on Meta is I said, I think if we can break up above that 90 EMA, the short could be over. Really happy I didn't take this one short because now we're pushing back up above not just the 90 EMA, but also VWAP. So apologize for the dark wicks here, but nice look here on META. Tesla, what are you doing? Okay, Tesla is going to be Teslaing my patience. If we break above that 177, as I said, I'm going to have to say, deuces to Tesla. But right now, happy I'm in it, and honestly, really happy I didn't get out immediately. I just took some profit and I left. So maybe the thing as well is just have slightly larger positions within reason if I like a position, right? So then I can piece out my profit instead of feeling like I have to go hard or go home, because it is really hard to give, you know, 100% when these markets tend to go 0 to 100 real quick. Shout out, of course, to Aubrey Drake Graham. How are you doing?
I like that. A lot of Drake puns there. I like that. Definitely. So So just kind of watching this 2430s again. Like I said, pre-market highs might be a little bit of a struggle initially. Again, going back through that level because there may have been participants that were taking that pre-market high break. But we are chopping and churning just a few pennies. So I am kind of closely watching this position here, looking for reasons to exit, looking for reasons to cover. Haven't really seen too much as of right now. But something to note is that the NQs are pushing their consolidation highs. So I need to pull up that Apple and see what Apple is up to here as well. So I know I kind of wanted to trade on that. Hasn't really come in as of right now, but again, this wick is kind of messing with me as of right now. Let me just take that out of the way. What's the low? 193.2s. Okay, so that should be good enough right there. Bang. Okay, so yeah, it's still consolidating underneath VWAP, so maybe not ready just yet on the Apple. Again, may not even be a trade, right? May not even be a trade. I liked these entries here initially. I did get out because there was, as soon as we dropped this range, I got more short, and then it insta rebid about 30 pennies. Excuse me, instant rebid about 30 pennies, and I was like, oh nope, get out of there. That action, that price action, I don't really mess with right there. If the bid is going to show up that strong, again on a ticker that has day one catalyst, so I was like, all right, peace. But seems like those prices weren't too bad as of right now, as we're kind of slowly just chopping and churning, melting, making lower highs and lower lows on Apple underneath VWAP. So again. Was there a reason to exit? Based off of the tape, yes. Based off of the chart, maybe not so much. So I do got to get better at kind of finding the balance between that respect, right? So is the chart lining up? Is the tape lining up? Do they both confluence? Do we have more confluence with some technical levels as well? And again, market sentiment. Do we have tailwind, et cetera, et cetera? Again, reasons to enter, reasons to exit. Coming into play there, got to be cognizant of that as well. But again, it is what it is. The trade is a trade, and I reacted to it. I'm more kind of thinking about this one here. This long that I had, I did get as aggressive as I wanted to, did get in the size that I wanted to. But again, I think I was a point in the money into 193. I was looking for more, maybe expecting a little too much. And then it comes back down, slams about more than 60 pennies to the downside, and I have to piece out of that one. And I was like, well, I might have hesitated 15 seconds too long on that one. I got to go back and check the second chart for that to see what the most ideal out might have been. But I do remember there was a few seconds that it consolidated in the 80s, and I was kind of hesitating. I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know, and it just drops another 40 pennies down into 40s, and I was like, well, damn, I don't want that for sure. Don't want to give it back to break even either. So again, distinct price action coming through on that one for the Apple. But okay, so look at this. Chop and churn, more of the range there. You can see that the NQ kind of clips its highs and comes right back in. So don't necessarily want to take a breakout on that one. But again, shorting near the high of the range and then buying near the low of the range seems like the trade that is on the board right as of right now on the futures. So I don't really got too much going on there. What do you guys have going on? What are you guys trading? I see that NVIDIA, we've been looking at NVIDIA. We've been looking at some of the names that are moving, pushing highs as well, AMD being one of them. So yeah, I'd love to take a look at some more movers on the day as I pass it back to Darren.
Yeah, I mean, this Tesla's been really fun. So no, it's like, oh, I'm trying to do the whole like holding things for longer, but it's like, I don't think you would have just one, trick in your repertoire, right? One tool in your arsenal, shout out to Sharif. You could have a couple things that you like or that you want to try, right? So I enjoy my my range trade still, or my trades off of that previous resistance. So what I decided to do was I got out of my Tesla, happy with where I got out of it initially. It's fine, got it above that 177, whatever. But then I noticed we could not break above 177.10. I said, Adara, I think you kind of want to short this again. And I did, so I did. Got short again. Again, probably didn't take as much as I could have, took about 30 pennies, but it's like, a win is a win, right? A victory is a victory, and you just have to look at these victories and be like, how could I make them better? Of course, I could have helped with the move more. Also, if I had a few more shares, I could have pieced it out. I didn't really have enough where I felt comfortable kind of leaving a piece of the dream. It was a smaller position, so I kind of thought about that as well. So it's always about thinking, what could you do to make the position as good as it could be? I'm not getting short this one again, because I do not want to short into I guess whatever the opposite of catching a falling knife is. I don't want to get stabbed by a falling knife. I want to be wielding the falling knife. So that's why I don't want to get in this short unless I see something good. Also, we're like desperately crashing into this previous little interesting pop area here around 176.20. The way that Tesla's moving, it could just be like, and just continue to the downside. But I'm watching the book. As I say that, we did dip a little bit below, so I think Tesla's like, yeah, I don't care. But I think this could be an interesting level. Those whole dollar levels are always interesting as well, especially given how long Tesla was sitting pretty by that 177 level. So I think this 176, and as I say that, we pop back up. So 176 Tesla could be a bit spicy. I don't have a direction to play that in yet, but man, I will be watching. TQs continuing to do that range. So that's something I have an eye on. I keep missing my opportunities to short the SPY pop. So that's a little annoying. I need to be spying that a little bit better. But also PDD, kind of aiming for another PD drop here. That could be a short. That could be an opportunity. Really proud of myself. Only trading 4 names. Up on the CELH, flat on TQs. Slightly negative on Tesla, but I'm really proud of those last couple of trades. So to me, I think that aspect outweighs the P&L. And very much down in AMD. Man, did I have a bad read on that stock. But I'm not trying to force it. You just have to learn what happens and learn from what you can do and trade the way that you want to trade. Trevion, Richard, we do have that auction coming up in just a few seconds here. Ooh. Sometimes it does take us a couple of minutes to get that, so be aware if you are in any kind of a lot of these NQ or SPY trades, that's going to be something to watch out for. But also coming at 1 p.m. is going to be, we have this segment that we've kind of talked about a bit, which is going to be usually Sharif at the green screen. That will not be Sharif for now because he is away. But I think it's going to be Brendan at the green screen. So basically what you want to do is, let's say you have a ticker that you want to look at. We all have tickers we want to look at. That's why we're trading. Man, I have not introduced the segment very well. So it's like, for example, let's say you want to look at GME. You're like, I just really want to see Sean and Neil talk about GME for a good concentrated period of time. What you want to do, you want to go into the chat. And what you want to do is go !join space $, and your ticker of choice. So in this case, TSLA. Thank you so much to Ramin for setting that up. Or you might want to go $GME, $AMC. We know what tickers are. Whatever ticker you want to use, just go !join space $, your ticker, and that is going to start at 1 p.m. So starting now, and that will end at 1:50. So you have a good 50 minutes to get involved, get those tickers out there. If you have a stock that you want to see messaged or chatted about up close and in person on that green screen there. So shout out to the green screen. Shout out to this new segment. Hopefully you guys are loving it. We do love audience interaction here in How to Trade and just also in Trader TV Live in general. We're always very grateful to be here with everybody. So that is one new update that we're doing. Also, I will let you guys know when I see that auction. I am not seeing the results right now of that 5-year auction as of right now.
Yeah. So again, yeah, I do like this this new segment. Gives people a chance to kind of interact with Sean, Neil, and Brendo, just to show kind of what they're interested in and get involved with the stream as well. So yeah, it's definitely good. Make sure you drop those tickers in the chat, and they will be looking at those off of the poll, right? I think it's a poll that happens.
Yeah,
right?
it's a poll, yeah.
So the more hits a certain ticker gets, I think they will be chosen. They will be the chosen ones for being or getting reviewed by the big dogs themselves. But yeah, so yeah, this number is
Sorry,
it?
about the auction, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you want to go with it?
So yeah, 5-year note, bid to cover 2.33 versus 2.39 previous. 5-year note high yield 4.553 versus 4.659. So that's going to be lower than expected here. Seeing a bit of a move down there in the Qs. The Qs are recovering a little bit better than the SPY, which is kind of in a full state of damp to borrow and edit a Sharif. Thank you, Day Trader Cut, for putting this in chat as well. Yeah, a bit of a move down there.
Okay, yeah, we got a little bit of a flush on that move there. Let's take a quick look at a shorter time frame here on the NQs. Just to point that out, you can see that nice little pop and drop on the NQs there off of that number. So again, nothing too crazy. Let's see what it continues into. ES taking a drop right there to its lows. So we saw that it was attempting kind of to push a little bit higher. But again, you look at this, a little bit of lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and now we're poised to make some more lower lows potentially here. If we break down, what's the low here? I see in and around that 53.17. So it would seem as such that we may be pulling back off of those numbers here. I will pull back some of these tickers here. I do want to watch the broader market to see what we are doing. NVIDIA is still pushing for highs there. 1143.88 is the all-time high as of right now, guys. So long and strong, can't stop, won't stop is the bid on NVIDIA. Again, I was looking at it last week and I was like, this thing is closing quite aggressively strong on a Friday, right? Going into a long weekend. I'm like, what's the probability of continuation coming in today? We gap up. I was looking at the 4 a.m. print. 4 a.m. print was like 1106 and change. I was like, damn, we went to 1100 right in the pre-market, and then coming off the open, we did pull back a little bit down into the 70s, but then reclaim that off of the open, holds VWAP, continuing trend straight to the upside on NVIDIA. And yeah, very, very strong is the tech sector as of right now. So I'm curious to know, how many of you guys are long NVIDIA from, and at what levels? Are you guys swinging it? We know that AI has been a big theme of the markets over the past year or so, just a little bit more than that as well. But yeah, nice little chart patterns happening on some of those lows as well. That consolidation, that was absolutely beautiful. That 500 range high that we broke out of on NVIDIA, and then we just kept on going. And then now, past that 1100, they're talking about a 10-to-1 split Adara.
Oh
so
yeah, I'm excited.
That's going to be interesting, bringing it back down to hopefully in and around $200 in terms of the stock price, and that would be interesting. I'm gonna think that that's gonna bring in maybe even more volume as more people will like to get involved at a lower price. But again, not really changing the market cap too much right away on that one. NVIDIA, okay, I gotta take a look at this one. 24 is coming right back in on GME. So oh boy,
what a
here
trade!
comes
Yeah, shout out
VWAP.
to you.
Thank you.
That's an awesome look. Yeah, I mean,
Watch this tape.
A lot less interesting is going to be PDD, which has been, yeah, I mean, I'm in it. I'm not going to be like, oh, like, boo-hoo, this stock. Like, I do like the look. It's just, it has been moving at a little bit of a glacial pace as of the last, like, hour. But I did like that we're still below that 90 MA. Then I got in and I was like, well, Adara, you know, we did actually have like a higher low, or sorry, higher highs, higher lows. This might not be the vibe, but I was like, you know, I think this could be a curl to the downside, and that's what it ended up materializing. I was only risking 20 pennies on this. So the top of that little baby consolidation range, 150, 125. So we got to 150, 120s, and then we dropped. So I said, okay, this ended up being the right vibe. I'm gonna get out half the position, 150, 40s. Why 150, 40s? I will tell you, it is that area that we had that little intense pop and drop, or I guess drop and pop, around 10 a.m. So that support to me is pretty strong. For whatever reason, we're finding some support around 150, 80, and I say for whatever reason because I'm not seeing a lot in the chart to support that. But I mean, I don't want to sell too early. I want to get a little bit better at just taking my time with these positions if I really do like them. And I think PDD, especially with that little PD drop we got, I think is a pretty nice look. Something I am certainly pleased as punch about. Let's take a look at AMD, aka a name that I will not be trading unless I see something I love because I've had a really bad read on it. Look at this, is interesting. I was just gonna talk about this 172.83 level. We get near it and we pop right back up here. So AMD could be finding some support. This name has been really strong, much like its pal NVIDIA, which Opie was just talking about there, the strength in NVIDIA. So these semiconductors have been great. Let's look at another one pretty strong earlier today, Micron, with this potential investment in Hiroshima for an advanced DRAM facility. This is higher highs, higher lows. This is a pretty nice look here on Micron. I do like this. Let's look at Dell as well. I'm just looking at anything in that AI, computer, online space. Okay. Okay, Dell.
Yeah.
VWAP bounce at Dell, okay. I like this. This is, okay. Also, we had that previous support here in the pre-market coming in 166. Then we had that resistance at 166. Then we bounced off 166. Now are we bouncing off? Okay, I guess this is more like 177.20. But on a wick basis, it's near 166. So 66, not 666, but 66 could be a bit of a nice number here for Dell. PDD is kind of, it's not doing much. I have nothing to say, but I'm happy and pleased as punch. And again, just trying to get better at taking trades I like with that confidence and that viciousness. And I think, and I appreciate what you said earlier about your Apple trade. You said, you know, you took it with the right amount of aggressiveness. And I think that's something worth noting. I'm always talking about the market moves with aggressiveness, but it's like, you have to be that aggressive too. You also have to come at it with, if you like something. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get better at. Again, like if I like the trade and it's working, you got to try to be like aggressive as fast as possible to get the best prices. Because if it kind of continues being aggressive and it keeps on going, then your average might not be the best, right? Yeah, GME kind of coming right back into VWAP, bouncing back up into 24. So I am kind of watching it here. I did piece off a little bit on VWAP. That was the initial target. It might have been the only target as of right now, but again, I am expecting. Again, we talk about players being offside, so we did take off players that were long off of that pre-market high break. Again, very distinct pre-market shelf that we had in the 2430s. We saw those wicks. We saw a nice little flat top, and we did break out of that flat top. Shout out to Sharif there, and coming right back in. Those players definitely a little offside maybe, and you know I'm just gonna make an assumption and say that a lot of these GME participants may be short-term players, you know, that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for that offside. So initial VWAP cover there, as most of that average volume is sitting in and around that VWAP. So let's see how much further this can go. Again, maybe not the best. Like I was looking at, I was kind of reviewing this trade again mid trade as I'm going through this, and I'm like, okay, what were some places that I could have definitely sized up a little bit more on this? Got a little more aggressive. Again, we see that 25 push through, and I even talk about this. And I was like, okay, well, 25 might be a little interesting area. Again, 26 halves as well. We did kind of push back in towards those highs. We made lower highs along the way, distinct trend back into VWAP, right? So it's like, all right, anybody and everybody who was chasing this long, getting in for the GME push. Again, I'm not expecting it to go back to 80 right away. This is not doing the same amount of volume or the same amount of hype, nor did Roaring Kitty tweet this morning. So you know what I mean? I love
that so much.
The kitty did not say hello, and I'm not expecting as aggressive of a move either, right? So definitely something that I do like to consider. In competitive gaming, chasers get punished. Shout out to Rocket League. I haven't played Rocket League in a while, but if you have chasing habits in Rocket League, more often than not, sure, sometimes they work. Sometimes they work well because you should be chasing, but more often than not, chasers get punished. So if you're holding for too long on the chase, yeah, you might be a little offside when it does come right back in. Again, with the ebbs and flows of price action looking as beautiful as it has been on a GME. So just looking for those players offside. Again, something I want to note is that volume candle on GameStop that happened on VWAP. You can see right there. Look at that strong volume candle, right? So no volume, like the volume's like going down. We had expanding volume through the break, and look at that. We made those highs into prior support turn resistance. The next bus stop, if you want to call it, that I was saying, okay, maybe there's some players there we might want to drop off and pick up, right? And then comes right back in, makes lower highs. Got a little lucky on the read as it starts to work, but that volume very distinctly different from the push in as it starts to fade. But look at that volume that comes in on VWAP, boom, very, very strong. Right there, strong volume candle, so definitely a lot of participants, a lot of volume being transacted in and around that VWAP level there on GME. So let's see if it has any further legs to the downside. I am holding on to just a little bit of the position, just a skosh, as Adara likes to say, of the position to see whether or not it can bear some more fruit there towards the downside. Again, some of these support levels, some of these resistance levels, let's see if we can knock those players out of the park as well on GME. Let's see what the chat is saying. QSR short. Google, oh yeah, Google. So Manuel is asking Adara, Google VWAP retracement?
Yeah, I mean, I can look at that. Also, just got out half the PDD, so that is pretty darn delighting. I don't know, pretty darn delightful. Google, okay. Okay, I thank you for bringing this up, Manuel, because I mean, this is the type of chart that has me like go back in my chair. I think this is a fascinating look. Google VWAP retracement. Okay, so what's interesting for me here is not just that we're at VWAP, which we are, which I think is something worth noting, but sometimes as well, it's about confluence, to borrow a term from the person sitting to my right. And
I should have taken more on that.
this resistance that we did have here at 176 earlier is now roughly where we are here at VWAP at that 176. So for me, it's not just that we're at VWAP, it's that we're at VWAP and that previous area of resistance.
You asking?
We're kind of having this chop and turn. I think the fact that we can't decisively break above that 176.10, which is also, if you want to look at it too, where we had those wicks to the upside, I think regardless of the fact that it's a VWAP bounce, I think what we're seeing right now is still some chop and churn at some previous resistance levels. That's my take on this, Manuel. I think the fact that we can't break above that 90 MA or that previous area of support of that 176.20, which was a nice little smiley face earlier at that 90 MA, and those wicks here earlier being pretty strong resistance for Google. Yeah, I have to say, I'm not seeing a lot of strength right now. I think Google's still searching for more downside. I'm going to be honest with you here. I could be wrong, but I think just that VWAP hold in confluence with that earlier 176 rejection, I think to me this one does look like there still could be a little bit more downside that Google is searching for. And Tesla's kind of similar too, because Tesla's another one peeking its head up at VWAP. Although Tesla's a little bit different because I would say that Google's a lot closer to VWAP than Tesla. And yeah, Google's like clinging to VWAP like a little koala or something on a tree. I don't know why I couldn't say koala there. But Tesla is a little bit more above VWAP. Tesla also has, for the most part, with the exception of that kind of Christmas tree-ish retracement, shout out to Randy, we have had generally higher highs. That's not right, higher lows, right? So I think for me, Tesla, if we're gonna say like one of these trying to be stronger at VWAP, I think Tesla may be compared to Google, but I do think, yeah, shout out to you, Manuel, thanks for bringing this one up. I think this is a really interesting chart. Right now, I think Google still a little bit weak. Yeah, we're gonna get that lesson started soon. Right now, I wanna talk about PDD again for a second. Happy with the short, got involved 105.0. That's not where I got involved. 151.05. And then the second I get in, we pop a little bit. I'm like, kind of nervous. We did have these higher lows, but I was like, Adara, wait till 151.25. If you're only risking 20 pennies, just wait to see if those whole 20 pennies come to fruition, right? And in this case, they didn't. We got to 151.20s, then we sold off a little bit. So I was like, cool, please just punch. Got out. Initially, I wanted to get to save the whole position until that 150. 40 area, but then I saw what we did at 150.65s and just said, Adara, get part of the position out here. For some reason, there was an odd area of support that's happening, so just deal with that. I don't know what PDD is doing at 160s, but it's doing some, or 150.60s, but it's doing something at 150.60s. I'm not getting out of the rest of this position here. I do think we have some more downside. I also do like that general 150.80 area of rejection, so keeping an eye on that. That is for sure. Yeah, I certainly am. We're going to get that lesson started soon because I think we're just going to let PDD hopefully continue to PD dump as that lesson happens. But also, what really matters is voting. And that got unnecessarily political, but I do mean for our join, our ticker thing. So if you want to see, if you have a stock that you're like, hey, I want to know Sean and Neil's takes on that. I want to see Brendan talk about it on the green screen. How do you get your say? There's a way. What you have to do is you have to go in the chat right now. Yes, right now. You go ! Join, space, $, whatever your ticker is. So TSLA, GME, AMD, NVDA, SPY, SPY, whatever ticker it is. Don't have any unnecessary characters. Don't spam. You only have one ticker per day, just like real life voting. So choose your ticker wisely. Choose a ticker that you want Sean, Neil, and co. to take a look at, because we are trying to switch it up. We're trying to, of course, always change things for the viewers. So if there's something that you want to look at in the afternoon, we are trying. This is a bit of a viewer's choice segment happening from 2 to 2:20. You have your say of what tickers we all take a look at. ScarJo Rabbit, that's going to be happening until 1:50. The segment itself happens 2 to 2:20, but you can vote from 1 p.m. to 1:50 p.m. And shout out T.I. Bryant. I'm happy for you. Please, this punch apparently printing on GME shorts. Yeah, shout out to Opie as well in that GME short. But what we're going to talk about right now is futures. And let me get my lesson. There we go. There's the lesson. Let's talk about futures trading, which is going to be what did I just added a slide to this presentation? Apparently, I have like the tech savvy of an 80-year-old, so good times. But let's talk about trading futures contracts. This is Futures Week. The futures themselves today are not looking pretty bright. In fact, they're looking pretty range-bound. But your future can be bright with futures trading. So let's talk about it. Also, I do want to shout out Eclectic Passions, who was asking some questions about options trading in the futures. Some people in the chat who know more than I do gave some great response. I know very little, so I did do some Googling. It looks like it's pretty similar in terms of trading stock futures. I would also guess with options too, you know, there's different timelines, right? So if you want, like, there's a 0 day to expiry or longer term timeframes. It's something I definitely want to do some more research on, but I did get a quick look here on Investopedia, and it's something I definitely want to read more about as well, because there's also like time decay or theta for options futures, so that's something to account for. Yeah, something I want to read more about. So shout out to you. Yeah, Scarjo Rabbit, yeah, I did not mean to insult 80-year-olds. I think I'm probably less technologically savvy than anyone of any age, so I do apologize for that statement. The point I'm trying to make is, yeah, apparently PowerPoint and I are having a bit of a battle. But yeah, futures, how do you get involved in trading futures, and what are some important things to know? So futures contracts are basically just going to be these standardized agreements to buy and or sell an asset at a future date and price. And they're, there we go. Trading, they can be traded on exchanges and can be for commodities, financial instruments, or you know, some other things like orange juice, right? Cocoa, lots of different things can be traded there, that is for sure. And here are some key concepts to talk about as well. Leverage. So this will allow traders to gain, to control a large position with a relatively small amount of capital, which can help, you know, get your bulk up on those gains. It can help with your gains, but it can also intensify your losses. So this can go both ways, for you and against you. So margin. So this is going to be the collateral required to open and maintain a futures position. I forgot what words were for a second there. Initial margin is required to open the position, and then maintenance is required to keep said position open once you have it open. So let's talk about some of these futures as well. E-mini or S&P 500, which is going to be the ES. This will represent a portion of that S&P 500 index, which makes it a popular choice for large cap exposure. Each tick is going to be worth $12.50 with a minimum price fluctuation of 0.25 index points. So if the index is at 4,000, for example, one ES contract would be worth about 200K. I know you've traded the S&P 500 from time to time. Is there a reason you kind of prefer that to the NASDAQ, or is it just like opportunities, just kind of choice? Or?
I would say, okay, so right now, like I think that trading the futures doesn't necessarily align with my risk appetite. Even though I would love to trade the ES, like it's pretty much very similar. It's trading the SPY or trading the ES, and then NQ as well, right? But again, risk appetite depending might not be the best as of right now. But again, when the market is in play, I do like to take a look at some ETFs, and SPY being one of them. Again, I write down every morning on the top of my notebook. Right here, one of the main lines, it says, SPY is my compass.
I like that.
So just a reminder to myself, being like, all right, you know, that's one of the big dogs, and I have to kind of, I have to respect the price action that's kind of happening there if there are distinctly different moves happening on the spider. I do have to kind of respect that and use it as a guide to guide in terms of like confluence, price action, maybe a market compass, as you will. To my trading, but yeah, no, it's just not necessarily a preference, but like I am kind of watching the ES and the NQ every day, and eventually when I do have a little bit of a wider risk, I will be more than willing to take on risk on the futures for short-term trades. For sure, but again, until then, I like the Nvidia, I like the Spider, I like SMH, like other ETFs that kind of act somewhat similar to the futures, again, being strong constituents or holding strong constituents of said futures. So.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for saying that as well, because that also brings back to something that I appreciate that Neil will say a lot, which is like I know Neil will talk about trading AMD and then using Nvidia as the futures for that, right? So if you have that move up in AMD or a move up in Nvidia, you might get that move in AMD, right? So I think there are different metaphorical ways you can look at futures as well. So I really appreciate you saying that. There's also the NQ. So we talked about the ES, the NQ, or the E-mini NASDAQ 100. This one will track the NASDAQ 100 index, which is going to be heavily weighted towards these tech stocks. So if you're trading a tech name, the NASDAQ might be your little buddy there. If you have any like NQs and A's while you're in your trade, will this go higher? Will it go lower? The NASDAQ could work in your favor. Also, though, it is worth noting sometimes you'll see counter trend moves. So if you have the NASDAQ moving up and the name you're looking at is moving down, that could also be something worth noting, that things are moving counterintuitively. So that is also, of course, something to note. The NASDAQ, or with the NQ, each ticket is going to be worth $5 with a minimum price fluctuation of 0.25 index points. So if the index is at 13,000, one NQ contract could be worth $260,000. Let's talk about some other futures as well. You've got crude oil, or CL. This is one of the most heavily traded futures, which provides a direct way to trade that global oil market, and each contract will represent about 1,000 barrels of oil. Gold, or the GC, this is used to hedge against inflation and currency fluctuations. Each contract will represent about 100 troy ounces of gold. Agricultural futures, there are quite a few. They include corn, ZC, soybeans, ZS, or cocoa, which has been pretty hot lately. Definitely making some fondue with that cocoa, that heat there. CC is that contract there. So let's talk about some basic strategies. Day trading, right? We do this all the time over here. Buying, selling intraday, not holding overnight, selling within the same day to take advantage of these shorter term price movements. Within that, you've also got scalping, and I want to shout out Big Cal Burdett, who's in our chat, who does scalp the futures quite a lot. And yeah, I think there's like certainly different strategies depending on how you want to take it, which I think is really cool about trading in general, but especially with futures. Swing trading too, which involves holding for several days to several weeks and aiming to take advantage of these longer term price movements. We also have hedging. This is going to be used by, you want to be confident. That's also something you want to be. You want to be confident. You want to have those moves you really like, and that can always help your trading. And something that I've talked to Sean about this. I do feel like being confident has helped me. Don't know why that button was up there, but I love that button. So hedging, yeah, basically used to lock in prices and manage risk by producers and consumers. So other tips include risk management. You might want to consider some stop loss orders to protect yourself against losses and diversify your trades. So you got a couple eggs in each basket instead of all your eggs in one basket or one like morning breakfast. And resources as well to keep an eye on. Lots of resources on this here internet. Shout out to, we did a week on futures trading you can check out here on how to trade, but also there are websites like Investopedia, which is great when you're first starting trading, or the CME group. I know as well though, in Trader TV Live way back, they did some lessons as well on specific types of trading, so definitely check that out. Lots of resources here in this community as well. And how is your GME? The game is not stopping. The game continues.
I have no idea. I'm kind of just watching. But yeah, thank you, Adara, for the lesson there. Yeah, no, definitely interesting things to learn on the futures. Again, this whole week is going to be futures trading, how to trade, and more information with Sharif and Adara. Sharif will be back tomorrow. And yeah, so make sure you stay in tune for the midday show for that. GME again. I was looking at it. I covered most of it. I only got a little bit, just a breadcrumb kind of left here. And we're holding some of these pre-market lows. You can see that nice distinct grid. You can see that strong volume that flushed into VWAP, and then another leg down. Could have been maybe a little bit more patient with that initial cover there, but it is what it is. I did have that VWAP as a target. Initially, when I did start shorting, I was like, all right, well, if this pulls back, what's the probability of it pulling back to VWAP and maybe having some consolidation, which is just underneath that pre-market shelf, right? So it's like, all right, how many players can we take offside on this move? So on this slight intraday overextension. Now again, not saying that the game has stopped. This is a multi-day move. This could be a multi-week move, right? But I'm just trying to day trade the move and read the tape as well. I was talking to Sean just a few minutes ago, saying that there was some size chasing down off of that 25s, and again. Reassessing this trade. Again, I'm going to be writing more about this in the journal tonight, about how when I'm seeing that size chasing down aggressively after we've seen an overextended move, that's definitely some reason to get some more into the trade. You can see participants are clearly attempting to sell, and it's not really filling them, and they kind of start chasing down with multiple lots. Maybe not even the same size that we saw pushing in or getting filled on the way up on a lit or even an inverse gateway. So, you know, it's an interesting price action, just trying to make better decisions based off of what the chart is telling me, based off of what the price action and the tape and the book has been telling me as well. So again, it's an effort to get a little bit better every day, and hopefully we are well on that path there. So let's take a look at some of these other tickers I did have on watch today. PNG doesn't really, I was looking for the reversion on that one, didn't really come in as of right now. We bid up a little bit. Let me pull up a higher time frame on this one. We bid up a little bit, so we did get a reversion to VWAP, I guess, but comes right back in. So it is quite heavy. We were talking about that technical breakdown happening on a larger time frame. So again, intraday players, watch out. There may be bigger fish in the waters today on the PNG move that may potentially be bringing it a little bit lower. But again, what do I know? I'm just making that potential assumption there. Another one, what is the ticker for this one? INSM. Yeah, so I did have quite a short bias on this one, but again, I don't know what the ticker is going to do. Going off of the open, I can have whatever bias, but I got to stay as fluid as possible with the biases. But you can see that when it did break that 50 mark, it did sell off quite aggressively. You can see how strong that 50 hold was in the pre-market. Again, doing significant volume in the pre-market. If I can just pull that up, why does it say 0? I think.
And if you have any more tickers too that you want to look at today as well, sorry there, definitely vote in the chat. You've got another 20 minutes as well. Oh yeah, apologies for that. But yeah, so basically what you do, if you have a ticker that you want Sean, Neil, and co to look at in the afternoon show, ! Join space, your ticker of choice, TSLA, NVDA, SPY, what have you. You have 20 more minutes, guys. Definitely do that. We love audience participation for this part of the show. But definitely make sure that your voice is heard with your ticker being put in there. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, don't forget that. Only 20 minutes, guys. So make sure you get those votes in. Make sure you make it known what tickers you guys want them to cover, and they will hopefully pick a lot of those there. I'm seeing a lot of GME. I'm seeing a lot of Costco as well. People talking about Costco. Oh yeah, Costco was pushing all-time highs as of last week. And did it already have earnings last week?
It reports on Thursday.
It reports this week. Yeah. Sometimes I'm losing track of time, and I'm like, was that last week or was it this week? Sometimes it's all a blur, you know. So Costco pushing towards all-time highs there. I think 816 is the all-time high as of right now. If we check on the weekly, yes, sir, it is. And yeah, absolutely beautiful. Look at this chart, like long Costco, and yeah, I know. I definitely like going to Costco every now and then for some of their food items, food and drink items, and nice good samples as well. A lot of interesting stuff happening at Costco. Costco and IKEA, I don't know. Those are the two. I like that. Maybe IKEA definitely, because they kind of set up their store as like a maze. Have you heard about this? It's actually been made as like a maze. It's hard to like leave. It's always interesting, but IKEA is pretty cool. I don't know if they trade. I don't know if they trade on on our markets, but yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure they do. Actually, nothing is coming up. All right, maybe they don't trade. Yeah, so I don't know. Anyways, I don't know why, a little bit of a tangent there, but GME coming right back in. Some size actually sitting at 22. His buddy was flashing some size there at that 22. So let's see if we can come down there. You can see that nice little strong trend to the downside happening as of right now. And yeah, we've pretty much given back a lot of the move that happened in the I guess earlier in the midday session there, right into previous resistance, and then we get a nice little reversion back into and through VWAP, back through pre-market range highs as well as pre-market range lows as well, in and around just underneath that 23 mark. But we are holding there right there as of right now. So let's see if we can come in and grab some of that liquidity that seems to be showing itself at that 22 mark. I have no idea, but again, I'm just trying to see what's on the tape there and just make maybe some speculations, but I don't know. I'm going to stay vigilant to what the chart and price action on the tape is doing as of right now. No real reason to cover. I did kind of prematurely cover this a little bit here. Maybe not the one at VWAP, but this one here on top of the 23. Again, I kind of might have been anchored to that opening price. I was like, oh, are we bouncing off of opening price? Opening price being 23.10, and yeah. But we're continuing to go a little bit lower there, so let's see if we can come in and grab, I think it was 200 lots that I saw, maybe a little bit more. Sitting at that 22 mark on GME. What is the day low, you may ask? I am definitely asking 21.15, so I don't know if we're gonna get all the way down to 21.15, but the trend is my friend on this trade as of right now. I do have to remind myself that, like I said earlier, I don't necessarily take trend trades as often, but the fact of the matter is, mean reversion is kind of a trend trade if you think about it. It's the end of one trend and the beginning of a potential next trend, and if you're continuing that in itself, this is also a trend and making it a trend trade. So that's something I have to kind of maybe work on better defining, because I'm like, oh, I don't really take trend trades that much, but no, buddy, the reversion trade in a sense does become into a trend trade, and then maybe that's why I have to get better at adding to the trade, and then that way I can get better at the trend trade as well. So I don't know,
I like that.
some trendception going on there.
Inception. Inception. I like that. That was good. You know what's the real inception is when you have a name that was your best name of the day, and then you make not one but two eyebrow-raising trades on it. That's going to be CELH. You got to laugh about stuff. I always say this. This is kind of my approach to life. You can take things seriously and also recognize when you just made like a, Homer Simpson kind of decision, and that was what happened here in Celsius. I'm so proud of these shorts. What I did here does not undo what I did in these shorts, other than in the P&L, where it very much undoes what I did in those shorts. But basically, I like this short. I was like, oh, we're below the 90 MA. Oh, it looks like we're gonna reject. And then I'm like, like in retrospect, I'm like, Adara, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, green candles, probably questionable move. I was not able to get out fast enough just because of the spread. I took an L on it, undid all the gains in that name, so that was a little bit unfortunate, of course. But then I was like, oh, but actually, maybe it's just flipping long. I saw we were holding 78.20. We're actually still holding that level pretty well, except for when I got in the long. So I get in the long there, and then CELH just dumps. I'm like, okay, I don't have a good name on this, read on this anymore. Gotta say goodbye. To say, Rihanna, take a bow, get out. That being said, the 78.20, I think it's still kind of interesting to me, but I don't want to force it. I don't want this to become a revenge type situation. Right now, I don't feel like it was. I just feel like that long was just questionable, and I did take it with smaller size, so moments. But it is always sad when you want to do a nice little move there, but it's like, you can't trade based on P&L. You got to trade through progress and learning. That's my P&L. But so yeah, that's what you got to do. PDG, I mean, if you want to keep going to the downside, yeah, pretty darn delighted with this, what's happening here. I'm okay with adding if we get back to 55s, because we've been seeing these lower highs, but I mean, I'm okay with this position. I have no planned outs on this until I see resistance on the book. That being said, if we can get below 150, I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy. But let's see what happens here. Let's take a look at Meta as well. Paula Blackford wants to take a look at Meta. Okay, Meta. Oh, Meta is rangy. Ooh.
Yeah, very rangy.
I'm getting very excited. Meta, like I said, I find harder to trade because I don't really understand how a stock above $1,100, looking at you, NVIDIA, has a better range than META. That is something that's kind of shocked me. That being said, right now, Meta has like a 12-cent range, so not bad. This one was kind of rangy below the VWAP and the 90 MA. Now it's kind of rangy above VWAP and 90 MA. Certainly, this is interesting. I think this, sorry for zooming in here, but there's some odd wicks going on. I think this 477 area that was kind of a bit of support, both on a candle basis and on a wick basis here, could continue to be interesting. I want to see what we do here on Meta, but also, what I want to see is what tickers people are looking at. But how do I do that, you may ask? Well, you could do it by going in the chat right now, and for the next 14 minutes, heading into 150, $, join, no, sorry, exclamation point, join, space, $, your ticker of choice. So for example, Dell, I'm seeing Ike Anderson mentioned Dell, which I can pull up here as well. But if you want the big kahunas to look at Dell, and if you want to see Dell on the green screen, what you have to do is go exclamation point, join, space, $, Dell. So yeah, Dell, I mean, remember that like insane laugh. This Dell is gorgeous. Every time you think Dell might want a little bit of a nap, or if you think it might be the death knell for Dell, Dell's like, nah, I have some more energy in me. So nice look here for Dell, trying to curl its little head back above that 90 MA, still below those previous highs and generally lower highs from that peak we made around 169.70 earlier, but still not a bad look. Decisively above, squarely above VWAP here. Couple wicks here into VWAP showing that we will stay higher. Great look for Dell. I also have two New York cents asking, where will the softy end up today? Up or down? I mean, I can't say that for certain, but it's always interesting when a stock's basically flat on the daily. Okay. Microsoft, I've been neglecting you. This actually could be a nice little dip buy here on the 90 MA. I think Microsoft, for me, trying to work its way to the upside. Obviously, we are slightly down in the day here, but I'm not seeing a lot of catalysts or not a lot of looks here on the book or the chart that we're going to reverse. We did just have this really nice cancel here to the downside, but not a lot of volume here on MSFT. Kind of feels like the neglected Meg 7 sibling right now. I'm going to keep my eye on this. This could get a little bit spicy in this Microsoft. Also, I was able to add to the position here on PDD, so that's nice. But yeah, I think this Microsoft, thank you for bringing this up, 2 New York cents. I don't want to make an assumption on this. I think right now, though, it looks like we do have this nice little uptrend. Yeah. How are you doing in GameStop?
I'm still kind of watching it there. It hasn't really done anything too crazy as of right now, but I am watching Apple. Apple did break down, now a little bit disconnected. We were talking about some of these constituents disconnecting from the futures, and Apple definitely a little bit of a disconnect happening as of right now. As the futures kind of start bidding to the upside. Excuse me, Apple breaking below that 191. Now, I did pull up that CELA. Did this have some sort of news today? I wasn't aware because it is doing some significant RVol here, relative volume on the day. And yeah, it definitely seems like the longs might be a little bit feverish as it's over 100 degrees down to the downside there. Celsius definitely dropping it like it's hot with this extended RVol. Look at that 10x RVol on Celsius. Nice little downtrend as well below VWAP. You can see that it kind of just mingles with VWAP initially right there off of the open, and then just starts to just bleed to the downside. So definitely longs maybe potentially feeling a little bit sick there. I have no idea if we're breaking some sort of key level there. I don't know what the news. Definitely looks like some sort of news because we've sustained this relative volume throughout the day, and we have given up. Oh, okay.
Morgan Stanley notes. Yeah, Morgan Stanley saying that there's some data showing that their year-over-year sales growth had slowed on a sequential basis.
Okay, all right. So Morgan Stanley coming out and giving some potential bad news there, and you can see that we are pushing back into some of these earnings levels. You can see off of earnings, we had a little bit of a quadunk, reverted that into the open, chopped sideways, and then slowly bid up. Let me take out this VWAP right there so we can get a little bit of a better picture. Go to the hourly as well. But yeah, nice look there. This one definitely slipped my radar today. Doing significant relative volume again on that Morgan Stanley note, it would seem, and we've pretty much given back a lot of what we did post earnings. So maybe people were getting in thinking that, okay, well, all right, well, look at that, a little bit of a double bottom-ish action there as the earnings reaction drops down to prior earnings reaction lows, and then you can see what happened off of that, and that bid kind of comes right back in, testing those highs. So maybe a little bit of a range on a higher time frame happening there. But with this MS comments, it seems like we are selling off quite aggressively. What's the average volume happening today? So average 30-day volume is about 4.65, and today we've done about almost 12 million on the day. So very, very interesting, very extended to the downside as well. But yeah, a beautiful short off of the open there. So yeah, nice there. That was a good look there. And you only had shorts on it today, right?
Well, yeah. So initially the second short is kind of where I went awry, and then I tried to go long, and it did not work out. But yeah, I want to shout out Joseph in the chat for mentioning that as well, because I would have not have seen that, because that was when I was trading on earnings, and Joseph was like, hey, Celsius moving again. So thank you, Joseph. Also, thank you, chat. If you have things you want to see, you have just 9 minutes left to vote. Just go in the chat right now, type furiously, ! Join, space, $, your ticker of choice. TSLA, AMD, AMC, GME, FFIE. Whatever, we know what tickers are. Whatever ticker you want to see, type that in there. Thank you so much, Ramit and Fabian, for putting that up there. And thank you, Bears vs. Bulls, for crawling all of that. Yeah, and we're going to see Sean and Neil discuss these tickers from two to 2:20 p.m. We're trying to switch it up. Instead of having the little chats at the big desk, we're trying to switch up the format, trying to get some audience participation involved, because who does not love audience participation? We do. And hopefully you guys do as well. You can only vote once per day, so choose your ticker wisely. Preferably, no spam, no little comments, just your exclamation point, join, space, $, and a ticker that you want to look at. So thank you so much, everyone, for putting that together, and thank you, everybody, for putting your tickers in there. Right now, yeah, Tesla, I did like that long off the 90 MA, and I'm taking it into 80s. Why 80s? That was definitely an area, that 176.80s, that I noticed when I was in the short. That was interesting. So it's like, I want to play it both ways. Now, though, Tesla's being like kind of stingy. I'm like, okay, I see you. If you want me to just take 20 pennies and leave Tesla, by all means, I will take 20 pennies and leave, okay? You won't have to tell me twice. So that's what's going on in Stressla. Yeah, I wish it the bestla in its track to the upside, but I don't know. Right now, it looks like we could be reversing a bit, so don't love that. But PDD is still kind of chilling. I have no reason to leave this trade. About 50 pennies in the money on an average basis, so please just punch with PDD. I mean, and I say that, and then PDD is like, oh, did you want to go up? I'm like, I did not, but thank you. Thank you, PDD, for keep going. Sober, SOBR, Grov mentioning this one. It's a penny stock, not one I'm familiar with here. Let me find the deets. Oh, wow, this is a nice look. This SOBR, wow. Yeah, this is not too sobering. I would say it's pretty exciting here. This is SOBR Safe is the name of the company. Not seeing any news on this, but nice look up here. Kind of nice dip buy opportunities. Right now, though, we're running into a little bit of resistance here at the 72-cent level. Lots of these wicks to the upside that are unfulfilled. Now, what this could potentially be a little bit of, that flag type pattern where it's just kind of waiting to have that further upside. I don't know, but this SOBR, definitely not a sobering look right now. Nice look for SOBR. How is your GameStop going?
It's still kind of chopping and churning here. Again, still within trend relatively, I think, to the downside, but it has started to slow down. Again, on the 15-minute chart, a little sideways, starting to get a little sideways in and around some of those pre-market levels that we were talking about here. So I'll show you guys what I'm looking at over here. But again, Apple, like it did a slow bleed to the downside. So again, I got to do a little bit better at holding at some of this position from earlier there. A bit of a continuation, again, distinct action, slamming the 93, slamming the 92s, and then holding below VWAP. And then now we're continuing. We've disconnected from the futures. We're continuing to bleed to the downside back into that 190. So again, gotta learn how to hold some of those trades for a little bit longer, because the price action again is very distinct. Got a little shaken out of the whole position on that initial move. Maybe not the best decision making, but we will get better tomorrow with that. But okay, so yeah, GameStop right here. You can see that consolidation low right here. Nice little double bottom in the pre-market coming on from, what is that, after 7 a.m., right? Right there, 7 a.m. volume comes in. That 8 a.m. volume comes in as well, and makes this a little bit of a distinct low here just underneath this 23s. And we're just chopping underneath VWAP in that area. You can see this consolidation that we had as well before we accelerated and got that expanding volume to the upside. That took us through those pre-market highs and then took us to the next station right there at that 26 and some change for an attempted test at prior levels there. But okay, so there's 500 lots on the bid right there. If you guys can see on, you know what, I should probably change this to GME, because that's what we're, actually no, it's already changed. That one is Apple, this one is GME. Do I have a size filter on this one? Not yet. Let me throw that on for you guys. So there was some size chasing on the bid right there. I did not see if it got filled. It seems like it did get filled. Okay, so there was an announcement earlier, something about MEMX not working, but I'm seeing some MEMX gates starting to print. So maybe they are kind of working right now. So somebody just slapped 1,500 shares on a U gate, which is again a MEMX. So maybe the MEMX is back on these meme tickers today. Yeah, the MEMX on the meme tickers. You got to do it for the lulz, you know. But this 190 coming right back in on Apple. So with the market pushing back down, look at the ES pushing for fresh lows. It did just make some fresh lows on this 15-minute candle. And the NQ, let's see if it can come back into 18.9. Taking a quick look at some of the top constituents here. What is the weakest of them all? It would seem that it's Apple. So, oh boy. All right. Well, NVIDIA though, super. What is going on with NVIDIA? Like we gotta get long, stay long on NVIDIA. Look at this. Like you can get in on a shorter time frame and then be like, all right, well, let's go up to a 30-minute. Look at that. No trend break on a 30-minute, absolutely holding. Like sure, the 15 is choppy. A lot of people use the 15, I can understand. 5-minute, definitely choppy. A lot of people use that as well. Definitely choppy. 3s and 2s, definitely choppy. But overall, holding a trend. If you throw up a moving average on this ticker, is it holding quite beautifully? And 1150 is holding as of right now. So we broke that 10 mark, that 1,000 mark. We go straight to 11s, and now we're going to 11 halves. So can we get to 12 halves? That's the next question I'm asking. If we kind of continue this this strength to the upside on NVIDIA, that 12 might not be too far away. Again, closing extremely strong last Friday. Here, let me pull that chart back up to kind of show you what I'm looking at. So closing quite strong on Friday, near highs, bids up into the after hours, and then gaps up in the pre-market as well, holding above these brand new highs, breaking that pre-market high as well, and then catching trend off of an opening range high break on the 15-minute. Very strong trend, to say the least, on NVIDIA there. But again, that sentiment maybe not as reflected on the NQs or the ES as the other constituents pull back quite aggressively, or maybe not having as distinct of a move there. Apple, again, being one of the other top constituents of the markets, and Softy as well, not really going anywhere. Apple bleeding to the downside as well. So let me pull up. I haven't taken a look at the constituents as of late in terms of composition. So let me just pull that up for you guys real quick, and we can see who is at the top of the charts as of right now. So, okay, so this is the breakdown of the NASDAQ 100. Softy at the top, Apple second, and then closely followed by NVIDIA. You can see this is portfolio percentage as of, when was this? I don't know when the last update was, but they do pretty well in terms of updating it quite frequently there. So Softy at the highs at almost 8.7%, and then at 8% coming in is Apple. And yeah, there's only about 20 seconds left, right, Adara? Yeah.
I still can't believe that. We only have 20 seconds left to vote. So vote in the ticker, no, in the chat, $, join, space, exclamation point, join, space, $, your ticker, whatever ticker you want to look at, TSLA, AMD, AMC. The time is running out. Thank you guys so much for being here with us for that. We still have 10 more minutes of the show, mind you, but you only have a few mere seconds left for that ticker. So thank you so much for voting here to see whatever ticker you would like to see, because we do love audience participation here on the show. Do we not? Yes, we do. Yeah, I mean, what a time to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
Robbie V wants to look at Lucy, so let's look at Lucy. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at this range.
Yeah.
It's not like Mickey Mouse. Oh my gosh. Look at this. I have no words. This, what is this? 57-cent base. This top of 62 cents, just below VWAP. Like Lucy, this is what dreams are made of if you're a range trader. Oh my gosh.
Sweet dreams are made of these?
Yeah, sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? Traveled the world and the 7 Lucy's. Everybody. Yeah, I mean, great look. I'm going to shush now on that. PDD was a little sneaky. I'm still in this trade. I have no reason to leave. Like I said, I want to see what we do in the 80s. I'm still, in the money on this, although I guess I probably won't be pretty soon. But what I've noticed too is it's not about your P&L. It was pretty disheartening to give up that CELH win, because that was my best name of the day. But the thing is, I took trades I liked. Just the issue was I should have probably waited a little bit. Like, why rush into this short when you have all these green candles? You know what I mean? Wait for the bigger picture rather than just a smaller picture that you like. Don't look at the zoomed in version of the picture. Look at the big picture. So that's what I need to do. I mean, yeah, man, this PDD is a little PD disappointing, but it's all good. It's all good. You're gonna see here what we do around 80s. This was such a bamboozler. Should have probably just gotten everything out at that base, but we kept looking like we were gonna play a little bit lower. So I was like, oh, well, we will. Yeah, no, we didn't. It's all good. It's life. Yeah, Vicky and Novak laughing at the gasping. These markets are very gasp worthy. You know what I mean? We all have our own, like, you know, Sharif has his geez, and you've got Sean and the bang, and Neil and the wah wah wee wah. Obi will go, oh boy. So we all have our different reactions to these markets. And I like to gas. Michael MB saying we should add a karaoke segment. I don't think anyone wants that, but thank you for shouting that out. PD, are you a karaoke person?
No, I mean, I've been, but I haven't necessarily been like, okay, I want to go out for a karaoke. But I know I have a few friends that are like, yeah, they go karaokeing every now and then. I'm not too sure. The thing is, like, I don't know songs that well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But yeah, no. When I was in school, there were the local bar had a lot of karaoke nights. So definitely some good times there while that was happening. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Again, in the Caribbean, so it was a nice little vibe as well. Karaoke night almost every Thursdays and Fridays. So yeah, it was good times for sure. But yeah, I mean, I should probably go back and visit sometime.
Times.
Market is flushing.
Yeah, I was gonna say this mark. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this S&P 500 just Qs, like the Qs are weirdly still kind of holding up a decent range. With S&P 500's like, what is range? I don't know. Downside, downside, downside. Look, oh my gosh, we have these two little kisses of VWAP, and then the SPY's like, I gotta go before, like, you know, I get turned back into like I don't know, was having a Cinderella moment, had to run away at midnight. Running down here from VWAP, this S&P, SPY very beat. Don't know if big Kyle Burnett's still involved in this short, but if you are, shout out to you. I don't know why I typed in NVIDIA when I wanted to look at the Qs. I think that's pretty telling that I meant to type in the Qs and instead I looked at NVIDIA. So yeah, that's something else, man. These Qs though still
pretty much
holding.
The same thing.
Yeah, you're right. They pretty much are, but I think NVIDIA is a bit stronger here. These Qs still holding VWAP just beautifully, and not just VWAP, but also this. What is this? As I say that, they dip lower, but that 458-ish level kind of interesting. Sorry, my contacts are having a moment. NVIDIA, though, totally gave up that earlier support and resistance of that that 1139. Now we're at 1136s. This is weak. I mean, I can't believe we only have 5 minutes left. How are you doing with GameStop? Anything else you're looking at heading into the afternoon?
I am now. I have pulled up NVIDIA as it's finally broken its trend, and I'm like, is the short in? Now is it time to short? We're getting that confluence with that market tailwind, and we're starting to break trend on multiple time frames on NVIDIA. So it's like, maybe are we poised for a little bit of a pullback? The 30-minute, not so much. The 5-minute, yes. The 3-minute, for sure. The 15-minute, I would think so. The 15 minutes is right there. So okay, all right. So maybe I'll give it a little bit of room. Maybe look for lower highs as well. Again, we've seen what the futures have been doing, especially the DAC, kind of very choppy on both ends, very wicky. So might not be ready just yet. But I did pull up NVDL just for a reversion back to VWAP. Can we lose some of this strength again? Let's take a breather, NVIDIA. Come on, like you're gonna do a full ATR, maybe more than a full ATR all day in a very tight trend. Those longs got to take some profits every now and then, right? So let's see. Again, I think 1050 is a great place. We failed to follow through. Didn't really try to test it, but we got, what's the high there? 1149.38. I'm seeing is the high on NVDA, and can't really get past that 150 mark. Again, I do like to work with certain psychological levels, certain levels along the way that are fresh levels that we may see some participants, I guess, move some stock, move some inventory at, and it seems like a nice little pullback off of the 1150. But being the strong trend that it has been having, or has had, I want to be a little bit more patient if the move really is there, and if longs start to puke along with this market trend. It will be distinctly different, and I want to wait for that distinct difference to start to get involved here on the NVDA. Don't want to get in front of a freight train again. Volume is pretty much the same. Hasn't necessarily increased, hasn't necessarily done too much, but maybe we're poised for a reversion to VWAP for a little bit of a healthy move. Again, we're looking for that, for the ebbs and flows of price action there as the market pulls in towards some of its lows as well. Not the day low yet on the NQ, but the ES definitely pushing some fresh lows. And let's see what GME does. I'm still holding on to just a skosh of GME here, pulling back into the 22s. Let's see if that size at 22 that we saw. There's some size at 2270s, as you guys can see right there. Buddy with 200 lots gets slapped right there, right through, but then bids right back up. But there were 300 lots at that 22. I don't know if that'll come in. Day low again being just above that 21 mark on GME. So let's see if we can get there. I have no idea, but I'll be patiently waiting. Got a little lucky with that short as it did come into fruition back in and through VWAP. But nothing else on my docket for the rest of the day. Going to be patient. If anything sets up, potentially NVDA, we'll see. I will take the trade for the reversion. Nice. What do you got on watch?
Yeah, I mean, I want to shout out your trade for once because I think, like you said, luck, but I think it's more than just luck. It's about being in the right place, looking for the right thing at the right time. You had those shorts, so you were ready for that to strike. You already had secured the shorts. So I just want to shout out that trade because I think that was a great GME look. So yeah, no game stopping there for Obi. I am trading Meta, and I say it like that because I don't love the spread on Meta. I have talked about this ad nauseum. I feel like I find excuses to bring up the spread on Meta. I am really hard on the spread in this name because I'm sorry, if NVIDIA is over $1,000, why does it have a better spread than you? Asking for a friend. But all jokes aside, I had been talking about that Meta 477 hold. When I saw we had that 477 hold still, after that drop, I said, Adara, it's worth a try. Highest we've gotten since I've gotten in is like 477.30, so about 15 pennies in the money. Not too shabby. Tis what it is. I don't know how this is going to go. Like I said, I don't generally hold trades, and I definitely don't actively trade after the midday ends because, other things that are done. But I mean, wow, Meta, if you want to get that move up, I'd appreciate it. However, to the rest of the market, as requested by Big Cal Burdett, I would like to say a Sharif style, damn it. So hopefully the market can get that move to the downside. Hopefully it's not too agonizing there of a move. But yeah, I mean, if Meta wants to give me that little pop into the end of my trading day, I'd be pleased as punch about that. Yeah, I've learned a lot. I am down, on the day, and it was, I had some wins on Celsius earlier, could have secured the bag a bit better in PDD. But it's, you have to learn as well. I am still up on PDD. Am I? Wait, is that a lie? No, I am still up on PDD. So yeah, I think I'm trying to trade less on P&L because you don't learn if you're just actively only trying to get winners. You learn from trying to get that whole market on your side, which is also why I love that that GME short. I think that's a really nice look. But yeah, I mean, 30 seconds left.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else to say here as we transition to the green screen?
No, I definitely agree with you on that. Like, if you're I find that my biggest hits are when I'm trying to trade P&L, right?
Like
P&L, very extremely, maybe not even priority, but decision making definitely #1 priority. And that's again, shout out to Greg. I remember we had this talk. Our previous manager was just like having this conversation with him. It's like, yeah, P&L is a byproduct of your process, right? Process and decision making. So if you can get clean on that, then P&L will it's just a byproduct, right? It's a byproduct of whatever decisions that you are making. So again, P&L is never priority, but can you make better decisions? Can you win on your decision making and get better with that? And then obviously the P&L could potentially follow. So I definitely agree with you on that one. But with that, we have come to an end for today's How to Trade session. So thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Obi, for helping with getting all the notes together for the lessons. It's been a great day. Hope you guys have had so much fun. Thanks to Obi for being here. Bears for Bull shouting out Adobe. So yeah, Adobe bringing you into over here. But I'm going to see you tomorrow with a whole nother lesson about futures. Same bad time, same bad channel. And we have Brendan at the big desk.
See ya.
Hey guys, welcome in. You get me today. Sorry, Sharif back tomorrow with the day off today, the extended long weekend. Hope he's enjoying a Tuesday. But yeah, let's get into a few things here that are moving around this afternoon as we head in to the final